I'm Dave Crane. So welcome to Gulfood, and this is the Tastes of the World stand. And as you can see, the team behind me are setting up all lots of food, vegetables, fruit, meats, and the chefs are going to have a competition today of working out all sorts of dishes that will be utterly delicious, and they're going to be given about an hour to cook it. If you can see behind me now, you can see all the meats just being stacked up there, and it's the buzz that's going to happen later on. This place will be packed, and there's a real excitement, and the air of the world is changing that you don't normally get at this stage in the COVID around the world, but it's certainly happening in Dubai. And in Chef Talks, I'll be talking to some of the best chefs from here and asking them how they do what they do, and also how they found the changes they had to make for the future and the way that it's actually going forward for them. So join me down here. It's Chef Talks, and this is Taste of the World, and it's the only gig that's happening of this scale and this size anywhere. Of course, it has to happen in Dubai. Gulfood. Have a great day. With that, you see, every single time that I talk to a chef and they show me pictures of food, I start getting peckish. But the thing is, next door, even with the Tastes of the World, what they've done in previous years is they cook these amazing dishes and then hand them out to everybody. But we can't do that anymore. What they do is basically they show it to you, let you drool a little bit, and then they throw it into a different room and it disappears forever. So there we go. I'm just sharing with you. If you would like to have a cup of coffee, it's available at the back of the room. And if you fancy having a biscuit that tastes like wood, then please help yourself. Are very nice as well. Next up, don't go yet. We've got a brilliant next speaker. We're going to be looking at menu engineering and veganism. And to join us on that subject, I'd like to invite on stage Anthony Jardella, who's the head chef of Hill House Brasserie and the Duck Hook. Anthony. Don't clap yet. I don't know if he's here. If you go and do the cleaning thing. Oh, there's nobody there. Right then, everybody's super excited, aren't you? I can tell. We're going to play musical chairs. We're not going to do any interviews anymore. We're going to play musical chairs, and whoever wins gets a free biscuit. Our special wooden biscuits. Help yourself to the jar over there. There's quite a lot left because I only had one. I went, bleh. Okay, so with that, we've got a lot to get through this afternoon. I got the timing completely wrong this morning, and I'd have the full blame for saying, where's Anthony? And he was actually in the room early. But I had a half-hour gap, which we've just enjoyed chatting now about how we're going to look after your lives and change everything. And hopefully with that, you'll be able to find out through today's presentation, so you can't leave ever, like being married. Sorry, that's on video. I shouldn't say stuff like that. Okay, so with that, let's look at veganism. How many vegans do we have in the room? Put your hand up if you're a vegan. 1, Two vegans. That's about 50% of the room. Okay, in that case, let's start. Please put your hands together for my guest, Anthony Jardar. Anthony, you and I have had a conversation about this, quite a lot of it. You're not a vegan, I'm not a vegan, but the world, we've got 50% of the room is vegan already. Did you guys come in because it was a vegan conversation, or did you come in because you wanted to sit down because you didn't have any meat and I'm joking. With that whole process, we're finding more and more people are leaning towards veganism, and that's become a huge thing. And that's why you've gone down that direction of creating a load of delicious dishes, which you're going to be sharing with us the concept of in today's session.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a massive amount of vegans coming in and talking to us about what they'd like to see in our restaurants, and we've obviously been pushed by marketing and stuff. What's the new things? What's the new dishes coming out on the menus? And it's been such a big vegan focus. So we were really challenged. What do we do? What do we do next? How do we contribute to this? So it's something I really struggled with, actually. Being a chef who loves meat and I love everything about the kitchen. I really struggled. I sat down with a blank piece of paper and tried to come up with 10 or 12 vegan dishes, and I really struggled with
what did you struggle with? What was a big challenge for you about not converting, but creating vegan dishes as opposed to meat-related dishes?
Well, I think when I come up with dishes and I write them down, sometimes I sketch them, sometimes I write different sides and things that go with them. I get excited about them, and it's things that I would like to eat, and I want to run upstairs to the kitchen and start cooking. And I didn't really get that with the vegan food. It was almost like tick box exercise, and it shouldn't be. And I really struggled with the motivation behind coming up with vegan dishes.
Is it because of the end result, or is it because a lot of the ingredients that bind and cook the food together are non-vegan friendly, like butters and milks and stuff like that?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
100%. So, I mean, it's easier to maybe replace meat for something else, but then everything with butter, with milk, with so many different things that you use in cooking, and the way that we all used to, and with the way we're trained to cook, it goes against everything that what's normal to us. So it was really kind of like taking the whole dish back and then building it up from the ground up to really come up with something creative and something that people want to eat.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to be looking at that in a moment, but I've got to say that when we have all of our many chefs chatting here all about the different sorts of dishes that we do, there hasn't been a single person who hasn't said that they've got a vegan-friendly menu because the demand is going up. Now, that's basically one of the reasons to have to learn. Before we get into the breakdown of how you went through this, do you think that you can be a chef in today's world without having a vegan eye on what you're going to be creating for your menus?
Well, I think that you'd be left behind if you don't want to at least try and experiment and give customers what you want, because ultimately that is our job. We're pleasers, we're feeders. We want people to come to our restaurants, whether they're vegan, non-vegan, allergies or whatever, and feel safe and enjoy the food that we cook. So you have to.
It feels like we're in a direction with smoking and non-smoking. Remember when people used to get on a plane and we just smoke away, and if you were a non-smoker, you'd be like that, but that's where planes were. It now feels like vegan is such an important part of the restaurant's makeup, that it's almost heading in a direction where if we haven't got the 50-50 that we had when we counted in the room earlier, then people would be happy to buy in and just have vegan only. But can you talk about the break? I mean, once you decided that you wanted to experiment, how did you go from the process of not being vegan, not cooking vegan, to having incredible dishes made up of vegan food?
Well, first off, talking about the divide, we have so many customers coming into our restaurants that aren't vegan, and they order vegan dishes out of choice. They like to try something new, they want to see how it tastes, they want to experience the dish, and quite often they have completely vegan, or maybe it's the vegan bangers and mash in duck hook, and they ask for beef gravy, or they have the vegan roast dinner, but they still want the Yorkshire pudding.
So they're cheating a bit.
You know they're not actually vegan, but,
Yeah.
they're testing, and I think that's what a lot of customers want to do. They're sort of dabbling with the idea about being a vegan, and they're comfortable within their choice to try something vegan, even if they're not vegan, even if they cheat and have beef gravy. But it's about giving customers what they want and letting them enjoy the food. So back to your question, I challenged myself to be a vegan for a week. And it was quite funny. It was funny for a lot of my staff because I'm very non-vegan. But I managed to peer pressure a few of my colleagues in with me. So there was actually a group of us, and we had quite a fun approach. We did a big food schedule, what we're going to cook, who's cooking what each day. We had our videographer come and join us and do lots of shoots about how we were cooking and what we were eating that day. We also had some vegan bloggers joining us throughout the week. A lady who made vegan cheese and taught us about the process.
So it was like a meat detox that the team went through for a whole week. Was it difficult to persuade people to experience it? Did you get anyone kicking and screaming or saying, no, I'm going to McDonald's, I don't like it anymore?
Maybe a few raised eyebrows to begin with, but I managed to talk them round, and it's only for a week. And I think anyone in the F&B industry should obviously try a vegan or plant-based diet for a short amount of time, just so you can engage with all these customers coming into your restaurant. And as a result, we found so many cool dishes. As the week progressed, we found that we were less bloated after eating, we had more energy, we actually felt the benefits of it, and we spoke about it within the group. We also became way more creative. So as the week went on, maybe the first couple of days we were doing the obvious vegan dishes that we'd try, and then we started really brainstorming to what we wanted to try, and we just became so creative with it, and we came up with some really, really cool dishes, and they're actually on our menus now from Vegan Week, coming up with those dishes and tasting them and thinking, wow, these are winners. We had all the vegan bloggers as well that, you know, gave us their thumbs up. So they're actually on the menu now, and they're actually doing really, really well.
So, I mean, I don't think we've got any pictures to illustrate. I know you've got some on your phone, but if you had to talk about reinventing a dish, how would you make a vegan version of a traditional meat or whatever related dish? Give us some examples.
Okay, so one thing we did in Duck Hook, we have a sticky toffee pudding. It's our best-selling dessert. So
Not known for having slabs of beef in it, we've got to say, but carry on, all right.
But, I mean, it's full of butter and it's got dairy. We serve it with ice cream. It's very non-vegan. So what we did, we put all the ingredients up for a sticky toffee pudding, and we eliminated everything that wasn't vegan and then replaced it. And for the first 2 or 3 times that we tried to do this up, it wasn't good.
Okay.
But we got there.
What do you mean it wasn't good?
It wasn't the same. So what I wanted is an absolute replica of the dish.
Right.
So you could put 2 dishes up and not see the difference.
Is that the key to creating a vegan dish? Anybody who tastes it shouldn't turn around and say it doesn't taste like the other version.
Well, I mean, we don't want to trick people, first of all. I mean, we can't swap beef for an alternative and not let people know. But they should enjoy it the same. It should resemble texture. It should resemble flavour. And, I mean, with the sticky toffee pudding, the ice cream, we got straight away. And it was amazing. We tasted this ice cream. We couldn't believe it wasn't vegan. And then the sticky toffee, we played around with veg shortening instead of butter and some different things like that. We increased the level of dates and the dried fruit in there to get the texture a little bit closer. And what we actually ended up doing is selling people the vegan sticky toffee pudding and then telling them after, did you know that was vegan? It was 100% vegan. And they were so surprised. And they said, we would 100% reorder it. I mean, we don't do it every time, but we did that for a couple of weeks on the back of the Vegan Week Challenge. And it just showed people that there is ways around being vegan and still going out enjoying food, still having premium restaurant food.
Well, with sticky toffee pudding, if you said to me, Dave, we've got some, I would actually eat the cardboard if it was called sticky toffee pudding and just enjoy it.
I should have brought you some.
Please do. Not everything lends itself to that straight crossover. Some things you must have to reinvent, and it also lends itself to creating new dishes. Of when you're doing a vegan dish, there's no comparison to the meat-eating version of it. What kind of examples do you have of that?
Well, there's three different things that you're looking for. There's texture, there's flavour, and then there's the look and feel of it. You cannot, get a fake chicken or a plant-based chicken. But what you can do is create the protein. I mean, there's things out there like seitan and different meat alternatives, and then creating a dish up with those, using those. Maybe you take a classic dish and you use the meat alternatives to resemble something really, really close. But then for some things, you're right, it is creating a brand new dish to really show what we can do with the different flavors and textures of the meat alternatives.
I think there's a lot of people who would be interested in seeing a brand new dish that doesn't exist at all and trying it as a vegan dish rather than just saying, oh no, I'll have this as an alternative. Just check again, we've had some more people come to join us. How many vegans do we have in the room? 1, 2, I know. Anybody else is vegan? 2 vegan. Oh, you've changed your mind now. You were vegan earlier, but I'm not going to say anything bad. But you two, unless you're not vegan anymore, the burger thing made you go like that. I want to just check a couple of things. Are you vegan because you don't like the concept of eating meat or related products, or because you don't like the taste? Which one is it? Is it meat or just a taste?
No, I think it's more complicated.
So what is it?
I think if you look at the big picture,
Yeah.
there are 4 key reasons why to join plant-based cuisine.
Can I ask you, because you're clearly a great talker, can I get you to go back microphone so everybody can hear? If you don't mind, I'm going to steal some of your interview.
No
If you don't, you have to put your laptop down. That microphone, I'm going to switch it on. I just want to get my head around exactly what this is all about, because as a non-vegan, I feel a level of guilt, but I do like a burger. So, sorry, what's your name?
Imad.
Brilliant. So, tell us 4 things.
So basically, I mean, starting from health. So again, going into or switching to vegan-based cuisine is better for your health. There's no cholesterol. There's less, all these antibiotics that are being filled with the factory farming and all that. So it's definitely better from a health perspective. Second is on the environment. The resources that you need to produce 1 kilogram of any type of fish, chicken, beef, pork, etc., the resources and the toll on the environment is much less when you go into veganism. The third it's ethics. Thou shall not kill. So plants are not sentient beings, so they don't have actually the ability to feel in that sense.
Oh, they do. I'm telling you now.
They don't have a nervous system. They don't have any brain, so they don't have an ability. They can react in a very sort of chemical way.
I hear what you're saying. There's a root system that does a similar thing.
Yeah.
But carry
on. And the fourth reason is actually as a human body.
Right.
The design of the human body is meant to be as a herbivore. So from the claws to the teeth, these are to grind, not to clench, to the type of hydrochloric acid that you have in the stomach, to the level of intestines. All these are actually imitating the herbivores in the animal kingdom, not the carnivores, which has completely different structure. So these are maybe the 4, if you want to look holistically on why do you want to switch to veganism. So with that sort of framework in mind, you can't say that I want to try this or try that.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. What do you do for a living, by the way?
I'm a strategy consultant in tech.
Fantastic. Round of applause. Thank you so much for that. You were going to say the same thing, weren't you? Word for word, you were going to say the same thing. So before we go back to this and we look at the whole thing, I get that, because one of the things we were going to be talking about in today's session was about lab-grown meat. Where they basically, in a Petri dish, suddenly grow half a cow, but as a square, not a cow, but you know what I mean. That's still ethically bad. So you wouldn't be interested in tasting it? That's not good. And what about you? No, it's bad. Okay. What about everybody else in the room? Would you eat a steak that was grown in a lab, as opposed to, running alongside a cow with a knife and fork? No, you wouldn't. Okay. Good job we cancelled that guy then. So going back to the subject of talking about veganism, there's a worldwide movement. We had a gentleman talking about this yesterday who makes desserts. And you've already mentioned about sticky toffee pudding, because I can't get that out of my head now. But he has so many wonderful desserts where we've had to look at the way of building them up and making them vegan friendly. That's a huge movement. Do you think that COVID's made it easier or harder for that to be provided for people?
Well, we were just talking about this before. I think during COVID, people are more inclined to cook at home. People feel they have more time, so they're not commuting to work. So I think cooking in general has become more interesting across the whole world. And I think more and more ingredients are coming out there. They're becoming more and more available. And it's to the point where nothing's impossible anymore. I mean, just on my personal journey of looking at all these vegan dishes, nothing is impossible. Really, nothing is impossible.
What about the cost implementations of putting together? I mean, when you're doing menu engineering, you're saying, right, this is the stock we've got to get. These amount of people are going to come in. This is the profit margins. Does it lend itself better for a vegan menu, or is that more expensive to produce? Because certainly, I attempted to be a vegetarian once upon a time, and it cost me a fortune for nut cutlets and stuff like that. In the end, it was cheaper just to go burger and go down that route. I know the guilt is still here, but I'm just saying, what was better?
First of all, when you're doing menu engineering, I think when you have a vegan dish on there, people naturally assume it should be cheaper. How are you charging me the same for beef, and so on? And there are, I mean, cashew nuts in general, they're used widely across vegan dishes. There are a lot of expense in the ingredients we buy for the vegan dishes. But one thing we've already seen is that the prices are going down. The more and more people are becoming vegan, the more people and more companies are actually producing vegan ingredients. That is driving the price down, and there's a lot more selection.
Well, obviously, if you're in a posh hotel or posh restaurant like one of yours, it's going to be expensive for what you buy. No, not expensive, it's going to be cost effective, I've got to say, but obviously expensive. But from the point of view of driving more people towards veganism, if the price was less on the menu everywhere you went, that'd be a massive deciding factor for people to try it, don't you think?
I mean, going out in Dubai, it costs what it costs, and I think restaurants, they work within their own budgets. You have more expensive ones and you have cheaper ones, and I think it all depends on the dish. If people are happy to pay a premium for a vegan experience and something that they wouldn't have tried before, then, I mean, that's a great thing. But as we're doing the costings, if the food is cheaper for us, we will obviously put it on the menu cheaper, and it will become better value to be a vegan in the future, I think.
Wow. Well, because market forces ultimately will shift depending what the demand is. So if it's easier to shift these things in, and as you mentioned earlier about the fact that for livestock and the methane problems that happen from just having that many cows and so on, it makes a lot more sense like that. So what about the chefs? I know you had a competition recently. Are chefs open to it because they love to play with lots of different food, or do they sit there with their arms folded saying, I don't want to play with this, but it's not got like an egg in it? What's the deal?
I was one of those chefs with my arms folded who almost resented the idea of having to cook all these vegan dishes up, and I challenged myself and got through that, and I'm glad I did. I think one of the biggest things I've noticed about in Dubai is that the junior chefs really, really want to learn. They're really committed, they're really passionate, and they're so absorbent of information. And I think this has started something within my kitchens that the chefs are trying to come up with different things. We did an internal one just in one of the restaurants, a little mini cooking competition for vegan dishes around the time we were doing the vegan competition, the vegan week challenge. And some of the guys really, really did excel, and they really did, show and teach us some stuff. So if you put a level playing field, vegan cooking, it's not what I learned at college, it's not what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So we're all kind of in this together. And whether you have a junior chef or a head chef, they're all learning this new way of cooking. So we can all group together and experiment and check things out. And I think that's where the junior staff really, really do sort of come forward and contribute. And off the back of that, like I said, we did do a big vegan cooking competition across the whole of Sarood. We had six restaurants join, 2 in each team. And some of the dishes that we had up for the judges were unbelievable. I told you about the Scotch egg, so the Scotch egg was the winning dish.
Scotch eggs looked just like Scotch eggs.
It was really, really amazing. I mean, the chef that created that was, I think, in his own right, it was a piece of art in itself. It looked fantastic, it tasted fantastic, and it blew the judges away. It scored perfect 10s, and they all had a gold star for their favourite dish. It got every single one of the judges gold stars, and that's what it's about. It's really about opening those channels of possibility and seeing what can we do, what can they do, what can the restaurants do, and the end result is how we can engage and connect with the vegan customers that come into our restaurant.
So fascinating is something you said earlier about the fact that it's a younger generation of chefs that are more interested in it. Do you think that's true generally, that the younger the chefs, the younger the people that come into the restaurant, the more they're open to having a vegan diet than say conventional or old people like me?
I think definitely the younger generation, there will be a lot more vegans, and that's why we're looking 5 and 10 years down the line to what we need to do and how we need to adapt to our target audience. So 100%, there will be more younger vegans coming in. And from a chef point of view, I think all chefs are competitive. We all like a challenge.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we will all be challenged and we will all be competitive within our approach. And that is what is going to help and contribute to the veganisms. And eventually it can actually start persuading people to try maybe 1 day a week or a month at a time of being a vegan and trying all the restaurants and what dishes they're putting up for the vegans.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, the health benefits are obviously there as well. I mean, looking at our 2 vegans in the room. Any more vegans joined in since I last said anything? Another vegan, guys. Nice to see you. Looking healthy and happy being a vegan too. And on this side, we've got the non-vegans, I guess. Everyone's going, oh, burger, which is great. So can I just ask the non-vegans, have you tried vegan food before? And, okay, you've tried it. Okay, did you like it? Would you swap? No, you'd have a balance of both? Yourself? What about you guys? You've not tried or you don't want to talk to me? I'm not sure. You've tried it, but you didn't like it. Okay. Is that your wife there? No, that's somebody you just met. I'm not gossiping, I'm just saying. Okay, you work together. Sure you do. Okay. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Well, you look very healthy anyway, so that's probably the case of making sure you look after yourself. But when you found that you came out of lockdown and you came back to Dubai, did you go straight for meat, or did you didn't? You eased in, or? Okay, right. Okay, so sort of halfway there, or at least very simple. Is there anybody here who would never, ever, ever give up their meat? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's interesting to see as well. I mean, I'm pretty much open to whatever has got sticky toffee pudding next to it as a dessert, so I'll go with much of it. But there's one of the things. Do you want to go to the microphone just so I can hear you properly? It'd be brilliant, thank you. We've had it sanitized anyway, so it's COVID friendly. There we go.
I think what's happening, is that even older people like me and you,
and me,
we probably have a number of meat-free days. We may not be vegan, but we're probably going more vegetarian. So it's like a gentle roll into it, rather than this or that. And I love cooking. I love food. I love cooking, and I love having friends around for dinner. Absolutely love it. And I chose where we have 3 meat-free days a week. And we've been doing that for a couple of years.
Wow.
And I wouldn't go totally vegan, but because I love eggs. And, I just love a boiled egg, to be honest with you, as simple as that. But I think most people now have looked at the way animals are reared. They're educating themselves bit by bit. They're researching stuff online for themselves, even if they grew up with having meat, a lot of meat in their diet. I think it's just a natural progression that we're moving that way. But don't shove us that way. Let us do it in our own time, and we will get there.
or at least get closer to it by choice. Thank you very much for saying that. How many people feel the same kind of way, that they don't want pressure, but they want to have that choice of whether they do or not? Yeah.
We had just discussed this before about being pushed
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually having the choice.
Yeah.
So I think it's like doing the washing up. If you choose to do it, you feel good about it. But if you're told to do it, you might be a bit annoyed. But I think that is the temptation, right? Us creating vegan dishes, all these meat alternatives coming out there in the supermarkets and being so wildly available. They're there to let people choose to go that way. And I think that's the really important thing, and that's what's going to shift the dial now and make more and more people start converting over. A few people actually asked me, I really wanted to be a vegan, how do you recommend I get into it? And I said the same thing. I mean, maybe 1 day a week leads to 2 or 3 days a week where you really try to be a vegan, and you commit each week to those days, and you're halfway there. The other way is to be a vegetarian and then start eliminating 1 or 2 dishes from items or ingredients from your diet. And I think that's the way to ease into it if you were looking to become a vegan. But I think as well, if you commit to being a vegan and still having a boiled egg because you like boiled eggs, you're still contributing massively. So you say every vegan saves 13 animals a year, average.
Okay.
So I mean,
You never fit them in a back garden in Dubai, would you? But I know what you.
so I mean, it all contributes. I mean, if everybody did 1 day a week of being vegan, I mean, ethically and environmentally, it has a big impact, and I appreciate that.
My daughter, who's 10 years old, turned around to us about 2 weeks ago and said, "Daddy, I want to have a vegetarian day." So we went down to a supermarket that will remain nameless, rhymes with innies, and I went looking for vegetarian food that we could have. And I'm not knocking any particular soup. It was costing a fortune. It was like 3 or 4 times the price for some food that, I've got to be honest, and I've tasted in other places, I felt like I was eating something that was made of carpet in comparison. It just wasn't as tasty. Looked great on the packet, but it just didn't do the same job. There is a gap, isn't there? In the same way, and it's not for everybody, I realize this. You know, there's a thing called uncanny valley in IT, which is when you have a robot that does everything that a human does. As you're looking at it, or even like an artificial intelligence thing, you're looking at it and you say, there's something not quite right about it, and it's kind of freaking you out. There's an uncanny valley, for me, in non-meaty food that kind of gets that gap. I think it's the jump, or the mindset, or the abundance of access to it that will make that difference. As somebody who creates that food, what do you think could, you know I'm talking about that gap, don't you? How can you bridge that gap better?
Like you said, it's mindset. So if you go into it, cringing about having a vegan dish and something like that, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it. I tried loads of meat alternatives, and I found some really, really good ones, and some that I would actually choose to have maybe over meat some days. And I was so impressed with the level of some of these meat alternatives out there, but like you said, they are expensive.
Very.
And they do create additional costs, especially when you're trying to put it into a restaurant. And that's something that we're going to struggle and maneuver around. But as I said, costs are going to come down. The more and more vegans there are, the costs will come down, yeah.
Fantastic, and better health goes with it as well. Well, we've got Tony here. Is there anybody who's got some questions that you'd like to ask about the cooking whole process? See, they've all come down to ask. If you'd like to go, if the lady at the front first, if you'd like to go up to that microphone and introduce yourself, say what you do, and then Tony's all yours, if I can say that in a manner of speaking.
Hello everyone, I'm Shipra. I'm a plant-based chef. I've been vegan for 5 years.
So you're a pastry chef, did you say?
No, I'm a vegan chef.
A vegan chef, wow, okay.
I just wanted to ask, what do you think about the ingredients in the plant-based alternatives?
The ingredients in the plant-based alternatives.
Well, yeah, I was genuinely impressed with a lot of them. We did have a lot of different suppliers that knew we were doing this vegan challenge, and they were bringing lots of different cheeses and alternative meats. Some of them were amazing. Some of them I never want to see again, for sure.
Why?
Some of them were tasteless. The texture was bad. They were dry. They were hard to work with. They were hard to make tasty. They were hard to almost work with or create something special with. And we're not looking to do tick box exercise and have a vegan dish on the menu. We're looking to wow people. We're looking for a vegan to come to us, try one of our dishes, and bring back their friends. And that's funny for me because 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't necessarily be so welcoming to vegan guests because it's difficult. But I think
so you bar them out of your restaurant. No vegans allowed. Wow.
What do you recommend for a vegan? Another restaurant? No. Now, I mean, now we have adapted and we have gone almost full circle on it all, and we actually really, I think, look for vegan guests coming in. We love their feedback. We love seeing how they get on with the dishes that we use. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, great question. Can I ask you a question? Go back, I haven't finished it. Ask you a question. So, how long have you been a vegan, and how long have you been a vegan chef?
I've been vegan for 5 years.
5 years?
It was more like a natural transition. I was living in a place where I had to shop in the local food markets where the butcheries were also open. And so I could smell the meat and I could see people actually chopping it. And I think it's just going there every weekend. I didn't enjoy the sight of it.
The guilt.
Well, I don't know what it was. I think it was more the smell and the sight.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't like the produce there. I was living in a very small country in South America. I just didn't like the produce, the smell of it, the taste of it. So gradually, I just started eating more plant-based.
Sorry, I was going to interrupt you there. Sorry, but as a vegan chef, do you run a vegan-only restaurant? Is that what you do?
I have a startup, so we have a 100% vegan and gluten-free food delivery concept, which I am about to start quite soon. We're just in the phases of developing the menu at the moment.
Well, we wish you the very best of that. Can I just ask you one more question, which is the preparation, you might be able to answer this as well, Tony, the preparation for creating vegan food and delivering, is that very different from the meat stuff? Because obviously meat can go off very quickly and so on. Is vegan easier to transport?
I think it depends on the ingredients. So if you're working with a lot of nut-based cheeses, a lot of plant-based ingredients, yes, if they're cooked, they do last up to 3 days at least if they're freshly cooked. But if you're dealing with something like salads, which have a lot of fresh ingredients, they're going to wilt and go bad. They won't taste as fresh.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing that. Brilliant. Do you want to comment on the back of that? About the transport of stuff into your restaurant or into your hotel?
I mean, we would treat it the exact same. Obviously, when we're prepping vegan things, we have a responsibility to the guest to make sure it's always 100% vegan. It's not being contaminated in any way whatsoever. But in shelf life and delivering wise, we would treat it exactly the same.
Fantastic.
Me again.
Hello.
From a business point of view and an economic point of view, the source of your products, are they local, are they regional, or are most of them actually coming from overseas? Because one of the things I notice, I buy my own food. I don't buy prepared food, never. So I usually buy and cook from scratch. And you can make a very good salad very, very cheaply, actually. But I buy from local farmers. I live in Ras Al Khaimah. And there is not in brackets farmers market, but a real farmers market, if you know what I mean, the difference, every single day. 2 different sessions. They have the siesta in the afternoon, and then they open again at 5 until about 9, you know. And all the stuff that's sold there is stuff that's in season. So potatoes, beans, cabbages, cauliflowers, onions, peppers, garlic, ginger, although probably imported, maybe I'd imagine the ginger. But a lot of the stuff, as I said, is in season. When you start looking at vegetables that are out of season and that are not grown here, then the price is sky high. And if you have a family that's on a limited disposable income, as a lot of people are, especially during COVID, that's going to stop a lot of people from actually buying those dishes, coming to your restaurant and buying the food. So is there anything going on between local producers, local farmers throughout all 7 Emirates and the chefy industry, the restaurant industry, to get that price down so that we can all benefit?
That's a great question. And I mean, as a chef, fresh is best always. We always do look for locally sourced items. Vegetables especially. You'd be surprised with how good the produce is over here. There's vertical farms, there's real farms, there's all different things going on, and they're quite easily available. And like you said, the price is sometimes better. When it comes to the seasons, we do adjust our menus. We do 2 big and 2 small menu changes every single year, and we always make sure that we're in season with the dishes and the foods that we're serving in the restaurants. And there's always going to be an element when you work and you run a restaurant in Dubai. You will always have to bring some things and import some things, but we are conscious of it, and we do look to reduce that as much as possible.
Excellent. Do we have any more questions while we've got Tony here? Anybody else, please, would like to go across and introduce yourself as...
Hi everyone, my name is Zaheen. I have a restaurant called Coffee Tea Eatery. So even in the restaurant, what I try to do now is, because we get a lot of vegan food requests, so what we try to do is because like you've said before, what I've noticed is there's not a lot of good vegan food, and I feel like that's more of the core reason why people are a bit hesitant to turn to vegan food. So that's kind of like an opportunity for us where we try to bring out good vegan food and, kind of stand out amongst the others. So one of the issues that I've faced is the costing usually. So again, you've kind of already answered this earlier that, to the end, eventually it will get cheaper. But right now, vegan food is kind of, let's say, placed above all my meat food. Like if I have, like a sushi bowl or like any burgers, vegan food kind of is either on the same or like just above. So traditionally, usually like vegetarian food is like, it comes like, let's say, a level below the meat category, let's say. So do you think like soon, like how far in do you think like, the costings and things like that would be reduced for vegan kind of foods?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, I'll start off with when you're doing menu engineering and you're looking at what you're selling versus price versus customer, there's some rules that you can break. And for me, if I had a high cost vegan dish at a low price, that might hurt my budget. That would be bad for the budget, but it would be great for bringing extra revenue into your restaurant. And being available and being a restaurant where vegans would want to come benefits you massively. So worrying about the cost will always be there. We're in Dubai, we work within our budgets, it's always going to be there. But you can break the rules on certain implementations on the menu, and I think vegan dishes are the ones that we should break the rules on. We should drive the price down. We should take a bit of a hit on, because they will bring extra customers and revenue to the restaurant. In terms of price and the market, we've already seen the prices drop a little bit in terms of the meat substitutes. And I think another way to combat the price of some of the vegan foods that we're all ordering is to try and make it yourself. I mean, we had a great vegan blogger and cheesemaker that came to us who showed us how to make homemade parmesan and some different things like that. And we're doing that now. Vegan cheese is very expensive, but it's not as expensive when you make it yourself. So that all depends on how busy you are and how many vegans are coming into your restaurant, whether you can do that or not. But you have to start somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, actually, we do actually buy a vegan cheese, but again, there was an issue with stocks. Like it's hardly available sometimes.
That is the other thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just maybe in Spinneys or something. If I'm lucky, I'll get a pack.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. As there's more and more coming to the market, certain things that you might be looking at and buying regularly become unavailable because they've been replaced with something else and stuff like that. But that is the turmoil of of what we're all going through right now.
But that's the same in everything anyway, isn't it? There's always a supply challenge.
It is, but this is so fresh. There's so much coming to the table now. There's so many vegan companies opening and startups and things like that. Because, you know, it is going to be a massive industry moving forward.
Good.
So it's what to expect. But for now, while we're all, you know, looking for different alternatives and stuff like that, we have to be flexible within our approach.
So, any more? Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions that we have? Please go ahead.
Hi, my name's Arundhati. I'm actually a student, not a chef or working in the food industry, but I'm working on a project to do with food design. So my question for you was, what is, in your opinion, the most versatile vegan ingredient that you've worked with and why?
Sorry.
Most versatile vegan ingredient that you've worked with and why?
Well, when I look at vegan ingredients, first of all, I think of what's the favourites. So, I mean, everyone loves mushrooms, asparagus, French fries. They're all vegan. They're all naturally vegan, and people like it. So if you base your ingredients around things that already work, mushrooms is a big one. We use that in so many different of the vegan dishes that we do. They're already favourites. People already enjoy them. You guarantee the customer's going to be happy with them. I think the big one for me was cashew nuts. I didn't realise how versatile they were. And I'll just tell you a really quick recipe for Parmesan cheese, which we make and we use. It's ground almonds, nutritional yeast, and garlic powder, and it's fantastic. It really resembles Parmesan.
Wow.
And, I mean, we use that. We make it fresh, and we use it. So I think, for me, cashew nuts were a big one for me, which we used in so many different dishes.
What's your favourite? What do you enjoy?
I think I would have also probably said cashew nuts, so that's why I was intrigued.
Okay.
So you got the answer right.
You didn't learn anything.
I mean, there wasn't a right answer, I was just curious. But
Brilliant.
yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for the question. So with that, there's a lot of different things that we looked into that we didn't, certainly I didn't know, so it's been a revelation to me. If people want to make the first step, and I'm interested in doing it myself, just to see whether I like it, don't like it, and so on, what would you say is the easiest way to move into testing yourself with vegan food, to be able to acclimate yourself with it?
Like I said, I mean, one day a week is a start. I think we can all commit to 1 day a week where you go vegan for that day, and you can actually start looking forward to that day, and you can start planning for it. I think menu planning as well. So if you get a piece of paper and you plan your meals, you're already in the mindset. You already know what you're going to do. You kind of flow into it, as opposed to, oh no, it's vegan day and I haven't got anything in the fridge ready and stuff. So a little bit organised, having an idea about what you're going to do, and committing to that 1 day, and you start to enjoy it. Maybe that becomes 2, 3, maybe you do a week at a time, or maybe you just take the full plunge.
Wow.
And you raid your fridge and you go full on vegan.
Well, I'm not ready for that yet, but I'll certainly stick a toe in the water and see how that works out. Tony, it's been a pleasure having you here and sharing all those insights into it. But hands together, ladies and gents, please, Tony Giardella.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. We've got a wonderful chef joining us next. I know that he's busy working with the tastes of the world next door, but as soon as he comes into the room, he'll be coming in. That's Silvestre. And he's actually due to join us now, but I've been told that he's going to be delayed cooking. So for those of you who are coming to see him, I expect him in the next 2 to 5 minutes. So if you'd like to keep your seats, because I don't have many of them, and as soon as he's in here, we'll get him up on stage, and we'll be asking him all the questions. But meanwhile, thanks again for you, Tony. Appreciate you being here, and cheers. Right then, I think we should start. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, come on. It's not. I checked. It's not. It's still morning for the next 30 seconds. And then you can have it. Wait for it. In fact, I'm not going to say anything now. Staring at my watch now. We'll do good afternoon. The thing is, when you say good morning, it sounds really good. When you say good afternoon, it kind of trips itself. So I wanted to get it in as morning, but now for you, we'll wait. Wait. It takes longer than you think, doesn't it, when you're waiting for something exciting? It's like Christmas, but possibly less interesting with less presents. You know what? Well, let's just forget doing that. Let's just carry on with the actual session. That's probably easiest to do. We haven't got that many people in yet, but I'm sure it'll all be packed out with our usual, how many? 19 people. That's how this place gets crazy. It's honestly like a mob. With social distancing, that is your mob. We get an opportunity now to talk to one of my dearest friends. Certainly, I love watching him cook. He's a huge hero on Instagram. He's also a professional speaker and shares his view of the world and his wonderful dishes all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring him on now as we start our first official chef talk. Please give it up for Chef Amro. And you're allowed to take your mask off, which is also cool. That's your seat, that's your water. We do that, you know that. Right, we go back years and years and years, and I've been a big admirer of the work that you do. Now, you're going to give us a presentation all about sous vide. Is that sous vide or sous vide?
Sous vide.
Sous vide. And all about perfecting the science and the art of cooking. Now, I was going to mention, first of all, that you're the Products Innovation Manager for is it MAM or MAM? MAM Food Company. But here's the thing. You're also an influencer. So it's a bit of both all the time, representing the brand, which is fantastic, and also the brand helps to elevate, so the two work really well together. Now, the last year has been brutal for every single industry, difficult for restaurants, but good for supplying food to the general public. How have you found the whole experience?
Actually, I found the pandemic. Sometimes it's a lesson for us to improve our thinking for the future. So especially when we talk about technology in food industry, it's very important for us to think about the profitability and also to think about the hygiene, to produce new lines of the products, which is safety and which is sustainable and also it's healthy.
Now, your role is about training chefs to be able to do a better job of what they do. So are you like a mafia boss among chefs? Is that what it is? Or you're more like an educator, like Yoda among chefs? What would you say?
So recently I was joined the World Chef Academy as advisor in the Arabic section. So we tried to help all the chefs around the world to start getting their new jobs or to improve themselves. Plus, we start doing apps that can support the amateur chefs who want to be professional chefs through the World Chefs Academy. And all these things is free of charge. Just only apps, and they can sign in, and also they can learn, plus they can enter the profession.
So just rewind that a little bit. You're saying that if you want to become a chef, through the apps, you can learn for free.
Exactly.
Up to what point?
To the entry point. So after that, they can improve themselves through the professional kitchen. So they can learn from the beginning.
Is that in Arabic and English or any other languages?
Yeah. It's in Arabic now. Before it was also in English and French and in Spain and Portuguese as well.
Amazing. Because one of the things I love about the disruption of the pandemic, as horrible as it has been for many people, is it also means coming up with really innovative ideas to connect yourself with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So have you found that, I would guess that previously having the app would be something that would work well with the people that you'd influence in the region, but certainly everything's about global now. Have you found that you've got more people taking it on from different places that you might not visit?
Yes, exactly. And we found a lot of people who's interested in English. For sure, it will be the top rating for this one because people want to start working as a real chef. So here we are supporting them.
So in the world of chefs, because you train them, have you found that the pandemic is making more people want to become a chef, or fewer people want to become a chef?
More people. This when we every month we have an analysis study, and we find it's growing month by month.
Why?
Things that most of the countries, they have some lockdown, and also even if they don't have lockdown, they have more free time. to go to the apps and also to study online. And we found that it's growing day by day. So that's why people want to be chef. If you notice now, even in the social medias, a lot of people at home, they love to do cooking. So
I was going to say,
yeah.
that must be a massive deciding factor. If you have to make food or watch Netflix or whatever people do at home, then at some point you're going to get quite good at it and want to take it more.
Yeah, so that's why I think people want to start thinking about being a real chef. And here we can support that. If we can spread the word that we have World Chefs Academy can help you to be a professional chef for the entry level, and then after that you'll take care of yourself.
Now you can give me some advice on this, because it's not for me personally, because I actually quite enjoy ordering food in my house. But one of the things I've discovered, and that's only from being outside of the food area of the hospitality industry, every chef that comes up and talks to me has a completely different area that they work in, and it's almost like they're alien to another chef. When somebody comes in, you're saying the entry point, how many different spin-offs can they go to after that? I mean, do you go to pastries? Do you do, exotic food? Do you, or do you cross-pollinate? What's the advice that you give to people after that?
So usually, we did it in the academic level, that when we studied before the industry, the cooking industry, we go for different parts as in training. For like 1 month in this section, other months in that section. Then after that, you have to decide where you will find yourself there, maybe in pastries, maybe in a cold kitchen, and a hot kitchen, or butchery. So that place is your start. Then after that, if you wish to learn more, is not an issue, but start with you. So
fantastic. Well, we will be talking about the way that you make innovative dishes. We know burgers. You do them very well for a start.
But
anyway.
you're selling burger better than me.
Well, I've had more practice. I've eaten them longer than you, so that's probably why. You've got a presentation to share with us as well, which we'll be going through a little bit later on. In terms of the culinary world, as you've been walking around here and having a look at what people are talking about, do you think there's a different mood here at Gulfood than it's been in previous years? Do you think that obviously people are happy to get out of the house and get out of the kitchen and merge together? Do you think there's a new positivity about the future that hasn't been here for a while?
Yes, of course, because a lot of new concept is coming in, but most of the time the people like to be flexible in kitchen. Like if any concept can happen, for example, fine dining or even ghost kitchen, which is the most relevant one that people want to go with the ghost kitchen concepts. I found out that most of the concepts trying to cover all the customer needs. So here, like for example, pizza, they try to do something relevant to burgers, just to cover what they can get out of it as training section or also in the profit section.
So when we talk about ghost kitchens, cloud kitchens, dark kitchens, all the same thing, which is basically that you don't look after a restaurant as much as you create food to go out to the general public. I always feel that when it's being done, there's a massive opportunity to create a better branding relationship with the outside world who's going to buy your food, but either chefs who've got big personalities don't know how to do it, or the companies have a reluctance. Because when I go on an app to order some food, it's just a whole range of the same type of thing for the relationship you could have with a customer. There's a missed, I'm asking you as a brand, as an influencer, you put out lots of different things, but you must see chefs with a missed opportunity of what they could be doing online.
Yes, actually, I found sometimes that most of or some of the concepts missing the touch of the chefs in their promotion, and this is what we are, most of the people like. Okay, I like pasta, I like pizza, but I like to see the chef how he's preparing pasta and pizza. That is more attractive for them, and it's more. Let's see, more safety for them. to be more accurate when they order the things. So,
Absolutely. So it's a huge opportunity and a growth area as people get to know and get a better relationship with the people making the food for them.
Yeah.
So you got your presentation. What are we going to be looking forward to in that? That's about perfecting science and the art of cooking. I love the title.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. So perfecting science and the art of cooking. Actually, this is a series of different presentations, but today I'd like to highlight the sous vide techniques because it's the most healthier and most safety cooking for way of cooking, actually, and more into the science, into the art of cooking, okay?
Okay, so could you explain first of all what the sous vide concept means? Oh, this is going to be done here.
Okay.
Okay. First question is exactly what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
So what is sous vide? So sous vide, actually, I'll just put the agenda because I think I put the whole presentation. What is sous vide? Okay, and the meaning of sous vide is actually it's the sous is mean under and vide is pressure. So it's cooking under pressure, and it was presented a long time back, which is in 1974. It's more into putting the proteins on the item that we want to cook in the what do you call it? It's immersional water and in very low temperature, which is we called LT, which is long time for low temperature. Okay, the temperature it will be very low, which is less than the cooking temperature or less than the boiling temperature.
So what from that, it looks like those boiling the bag meals that you'd make for babies, where you just put it in a bag and you leave it in there until it's at the right temperature,
Yes, exactly.
and yum, 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 like that.
Yeah. So it will be very tender and very healthy as well.
Right.
Now, a very important one is end-to-end process. First, we do the pre-sous vide part, which is we choose the cuts that we want. What we want: protein, we want vegetables, we want dairy, etc. And also, what we will do, we tenderize it by either machinery tenderize it, or we can just put the marinade, and we keep it for a long time, for the next day, for example. And the second one is the sous vide, which is we do vacuum in the bag between 50 to 90%, and after that we put it in the sink, the water sink, which is circulated water. And then after cooking, we can do the slicing, or we can do the shredding or whatsoever. And the final stage, which is the presenting to the customer or to the client.
So what's the benefits there? We're looking at, it goes in the bag, it goes for a temperature for a longer period of time than you'd normally cook it if you're doing it in a pan or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
What result do you get from it that makes you want to do this in the first place?
The results is, first, I'm keeping all the nutrition and the vitamins and the flavors and everything, and keep it in one bag.
Yeah.
And when I do the vacuum, I'm actually protecting the meat from overcooking. Even if when I make searing or preparing it for the actual cooking, I'm not damaging the tissues of the protein or the tissues of the vegetables. So I'm keeping the things have the same shape. The shape is there, but the tenderness and the moist is much better than the normal one.
So the flavor stays inside the plastic. Isn't the plastic an issue though? Because normally there's too much plastic in the world anyway.
Yeah. This has a special plastic material that is strong enough, and also we have implementing eco plastic bags. Okay, so that one which they can use it or recycle it and use it again.
Okay, excellent.
So why we're using sous vide? As I said, it's safe because we don't have a contamination, and also we don't have we don't have bacterial growth. The second one is healthy, of course, because we are keeping the nutrition elements, and we preserving the vitamins from evaporating or damaging. Consistent, because when we're cooking, we have an even done of the product that we are cooking, so we keep it's consistent in cooking. And the texture also tastier for sure, because what we have, we distribute the marinade all around the products. So when we slow cooking for a long time, it's distributed nicely and equally as well. So you will find it, also the texture, as I said, it will be firm but tender and soft. Now practical is very important, especially for the restaurants, because it's easy just to reheat and serve. So that's it.
From the sous vide process, is that only for meat, so it can be used with other types of food?
Yes, so this is here we come for the other one. I just want to mention also the shelf life. Shelf life, you can extend the shelf life of the products. Usually we use it at the stage for 3 days. We can extend it up to 14 days because it has minimum bacterial growth.
Of course.
And we can extend it to 1 year shelf life if we freeze it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a game changer, isn't it? Because for the hygiene of every kitchen, so much stuff gets wasted, especially nowadays if you're not getting the clients coming in to buy stuff. At least you've got a longer process of being able to protect your stock without having to throw it away for hygiene reasons.
Yes,
so that's a lot better.
Yeah. So is it just a small videos about how we do the sous vide is just only in quick animations.
Did you draw this yourself?
Yeah.
I thought your arm was hairier, but it's just very good.
Yeah. So it's the thing, and just in real. Yeah. See, as I said, we just drop it in the water, and then after that we have a consistency results.
Is the meat frozen when it goes into the bag and just stocked like that, or is it just left room temperature in the bag?
We keep it in room temperature first, and after that we cool it. Sorry, after cooking we should cool. In very minimum time, like in half an hour, we should bring from, let's see, 90 or 88 degree to 4 degree. So what we can do is easy, and what we cannot do also is easy.
Okay.
Because we can do the proteins, and we can do the vegetables, and we can do the sauces also, sous vide. That not so many people know about sauces that can be sous vide. And also we have sweets. We can do puddings. We can. I try myself. I tried the brownies in sous vide, and it works perfectly.
So you get cake. You put it in a plastic bag.
Yeah,
you
soft
put
cake.
it to boil.
Yeah.
Well, you put it in the water.
Exactly.
And then
Because
right.
I just leave it for like 50% vacuum. I still have the room for the cake to just let's see, rise, but just little bit. So you'll have a soft cake, and the flavor is amazing. That everybody tasting said, "Oh, I love this." Yeah.
Well, I've got an incredibly sweet tooth.
Yes.
I don't think I could wait that long to eat the cake. If you take it off me, it's like saying your Christmas presents will be there in 2 weeks, and I want to get them now. So waiting that long is going to be a challenge, but that's great. It's a really good idea.
And also we can do dairy eggs. We can do poached eggs, boiled eggs, and sous vide. It will be perfect as well. Cheese and labneh. Labneh, which is the dry, a little bit dry yogurt. Now, what we cannot do is the guts, because heating the livers and let's see, the hearts are also something of the guts for high temperature. Then we reduce it because we have to cool it, and then we bag it, and then we put it in the hot water, let's say. So this procedure, it will not work nicely with the cuts that have high present of blood. So it will have some aftertaste. That's why we avoid it, except the foie gras. Foie gras, which is, you know, the duck liver. Rice, also milk and yogurt we cannot do, and because milk is very easy to separate with yogurt also. Rice also need high temperature and low temperature in some points. Bread we cannot do, because bread needs special, you know, bakery. That is, you know, oven. Bread is for oven, and that's it. Stocks and broth we can do, but the traditional way to do stocks and broth will be much better than the sous vide. So the results in sous vide is not that high quality.
Well, excuse me for asking, I mean, everyone in this room probably knows the answer. What's the big difference between stocks and broths and gravies in the way that you're talking about the actual consistency? They're very similar, aren't they?
Stocks and broth sometimes is similar, but broth is more into cooking the stock with another types of vegetables, let's see, or another types of proteins. But stocks is just stocks, clear, like
okay,
chicken stocks.
The mixture doesn't work that well. Okay.
Very important in sous vide, the cooking temperature. Most of the people who's using sous vide, they use it in the prop temperature, and then they raise it to 75 or 62 whatsoever, and they cool it down. This way is not accurate 100% because you are not giving all the parts in the sous vide equal temperature. Now, when we measure it by the water temperature, it will be much better because you are distributing equally the temperature between all the parts in the sink. Now, the second one is the vacuum bag, very important. The last thing I said to see is a leakage of the bags in the sink, so everything will be contaminated. So important to have a very strong sealed bag, regardless of how much the vacuum degree. And the second one, arranging. So we cannot, or we avoid to arrange the sous vide bags too much together in one sink. Like if the sink is 5 kg, we stick with 5 kg, we will not put more, so to allow the water covering as much as can on the pieces.
Can I ask you, I mean, look at these containers with the, I mean, I've got to be honest, it looks like a little, imagine you had your bathtub and you put an outboard motor like a speedboat on it, and you decided to, that's kind of what it looks like. I mean,
it's a plastic, yeah.
But is it a specific sized tub, or can be used on anything?
Not necessary. The main part is the circulator, which is the small machine there.
Yeah.
So this machine, what will do, will circulate the water, and we keep the temperature consistent all in the water. So when you cook something consistent. You're not playing with there is no any flexibility in the degree, okay?
Excellent.
And during cooking also we have to cover the tanks to avoid any evaporating. Sometimes in the 88 degree there is some small evaporating. And when we load the sink, if there's some evaporating, we have to load it with the same temperature of the water, okay? And also we have to use the net. For example, in cake section, when we have 50% vacuum, we have the chance that the items will float. So we use the net to avoid any floatage. Wow. So to keep the items inside the water, exactly. And the ingredients. Now we avoid using rosemary. This is a new, I don't know, I found it a new information that rosemary, if you cook it in sous vide and you freeze it, defrost, you test chemical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Only rosemary so far?
Only rosemary. Rosemary because it has some chemical reaction right after you defrosting. So when you put it with a steak and you freeze it, I'm not saying chilled, you can use it in chilled, but when you freeze it and defrosting, you test the meat kind of soap in the test. So that's why we avoid it, yeah? And the other thing is to make sure that poultry and chicken has to be cooked more than 70 or 75 to kill the salmonella from growth, okay? Very important part is the last part, post-cooking, that after we cook, we have to cool immediately to stop the cooking procedure and have the texture that we are looking for.
So who's embraced this so far? Because it seems like, once you explain it, it seems like a no-brainer that people should be using it, but I've not heard of this until talking to you.
Yeah.
So are you finding that people are saying, yeah, we have to do that? Or are you finding that people saying, well, it's not quite what we would do? And you must get purists who say, we don't like cooking like that. We want to go back to the old traditional way where the flavors flood everywhere. How are you finding reception?
Things is this way, similar of this way, was working before in the old Asians as well.
Right.
Like when they cook with the clay pots, and when we cook sometimes with the pressure cooker. If you remember, so pressure cooker, everybody know it.
Sure.
It's similar, but now this one is more into protecting the things more than the pressure cooking, because pressure cooking, it has water and you know, all the ingredients that you want to have it can be in the water or in the protein. But now this one, it will be in the bag. So it's a bit different. Sure. And you see it's from 1974, a long time back, you know. Yeah. So now kitchen versus factory, because we have a factory for sous vide. Actually, our factory is the first in the region and the 5th in the world, doing sous vide and mass production, which is, you know, like up to 400 metric ton a month. Yeah,
wow.
It's a huge number. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll just tell you, between kitchen and factory, there is different parts. I just have highlighted 8 parts throughout the sous vide procedure. With the marinade, we have the manual in the kitchen, and we can use a small tumbler if happened, and we will marinate for the next day. Versus if we have it in the factory, we can do this, all the procedure in 2 hours, just only 2 hours, and in short time. And in these things, the factory will be better than the kitchen. Now, searing, which is preparing before cooking in sous vide, in the kitchen we do indirect in the hot pan or in the oven. Now, in the factory, we do it in the high heat belt, which is industrial level, and also we can do it in the oven, but you can see the similar results if you use it in the oven, but not if you use it in the pan. Vacuum packing, in the kitchen, small vacuum, small volume, and in the factory, industrial vacuum and big volume. And we find it similar result in the quality. Now, quantity will be the different, because here we have normal or small volume, and the factory we have big volume. Cooking, also the same, similar, small tanks, between 20 kilograms. Factory, it can accommodate 4 metric ton in one sink. And we found out that in the factory is more accurate than a normal cooking of the sous vide. The other part also, we have the chilling, which is cooling, very important after cooking. We use it in the ice water, in the cold water tumbler. In the factory, we have industrial. In the same tank, we can cool after cooking.
Okay.
Assembling, also manual and mechanical, similar result in quality, but quantity is bigger. Freezing, the same thing, but we found that blast freezer is not so good for sous vide. We use the spiral freezer, which is factory is the better. Defrosting, we have the kitchen running water, and the factory we use only chiller. Similar result. Now the last part, the last part.
I remember we talked about 4 slides.
Finally, we find the last part. Yeah, last part is very important, is that factory for kitchen. What I will do for you, if I am a factory, how can I support the kitchen, even if the kitchen is not using the sous vide? So I can give you a sous vide products, and where you can use it in your kitchen, in your ghost kitchen, in your pizzeria, in your QSR, yeah? In any kitchen, we can do this. Why? Because of this. First, we can give you consistency, even cooked items. So there is no, for example, this part of meat is not cooked, this one is undercooked, this is overcooked, so I have consistency. The second one is the development. When I give you this one, you have to think about, okay, you give me, for example, pulled beef, what I'll do with it. You can do multinational or multi-cuisines out of this pulled beef, add and this, you know? And we can also use the innovation because you are consuming less time in cooking. Sustainability for sure because we have a portion size, and also safe and hygienic. This is number one with us. Volume with high quality, and also easy in operation because you just reheat and serve, that's it. Storage control, you have your products with you, you can order daily, not monthly. And the last thing is more benefit, which is the most important one. You are consuming less energy because no cooking, just only reheating, more business capacity. So we talk about time, quality, and for sure money.
So if people want to know more about this, they come to see you, or they go online and find the Man Food Company? And,
or they can find me later on.
Find you.
And
just
Chef
Google
Amro
Chef Amro.
everywhere, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even Hotmail.
And you created this system? This is you?
Actually, it was created before me, but I just enhanced it because the consultancy company that was creating this with the support of the owners. Found out that there is not so many people have sous vide techniques, and it's the best way to sell frozen food.
Fantastic.
And chilled food as well, you know. So
excellent.
So
well, that's great, fascinating, and also I want to be able to look at how I can get it into my house as well. We don't have time for questions.
Yeah.
It's been a long presentation,
Okay.
but I can say for everybody who's got questions, please connect with Chef Amro, find him online. On Instagram especially, and LinkedIn as well. If there's any specific questions you want to ask, then he will be around for a while anyway. And you're based in Dubai, same as myself anyway.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for sharing your concept, the practicalities of getting connected to doing it, and I wish you all the very best. It sounds to me like a very cost-efficient and also hygienic way of cooking it for the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's brilliant. Ladies and gents, please put your hands together for Chef Amro. Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you. We do this thing. There you go. Brilliant. Okay. So, before we tell you what it's all about, please put your hands together for our next guest, Ove Fondberg. Ove, if you'd like to grab your comfortable seat there. Don't play the video yet. Wait. He will indicate when, he said, so just go to do it. So we're going to be talking about something specific in this, but I think that will also open up to questions as always. Silvestre will be along a little bit later on, just swapping it around on the menu schedule, and we'll be opening up for an opportunity for you to jump in. So with that whole subject, that's your microphone. This here, we will explain more about in a moment. Are you just waiting to give them a nod for the video?
We've got some sound on as well.
Okay, well, so before we start, let's get the video running. Yeah, take it. So there you go, that's the promo video, and now you're starting to understand exactly what the next half an hour of conversation is going to be all about. The creation of utensils that were once plastic and horrible for the world, now edible, tasty, biodegradable, and fun as well. So Ove, where did this come from? Where did this whole concept and idea? Because it suddenly arrived, but before that, it was always a case that when you see like this in a bar or a restaurant, you know it's plastic that gets used once for obvious reasons, thrown in a bin, and then goes out into the ocean and does horrible things to birds and fish.
Okay, before we start, I take my biggest enemy off the table, plastic bottles.
Keep in mind.
Single-use plastic is killing the future for our next generations. It's something extremely bad for everybody. We eat it every day without knowing. Every single fish we eat anywhere in the world contains plastic, particles of plastic.
In fact, on that note, before you say anything, apparently we eat a credit card's worth of plastic every week.
Oh yeah, just to give you some idea. But before that, maybe I should give you some ideas about what we are and what we do.
Please.
Okay. 8 years ago, the founder of the company, Victor Sanchez in Barcelona, he is a surfer. He is an active surfer, spent all his time in the ocean surfing among plastic bags and plastic straws. He was also a star bartender, working around Europe with different companies, creating fantastic drinks, and then in the end had to put the plastic straw in, his biggest enemy. He just decided, I have to find a solution to this straw problem. That's where it actually started. So he went to the University of Barcelona, and he talked to some professors, crazy guy from the beach. I want to create an edible flavored, 100% biodegradable straw. They looked at him and said, this is impossible. Nothing is impossible. We can produce pasta with a hole in it. We can produce a straw that's edible, flavored, and 100% biodegradable. And that's how he started. He got some funding, pure money, as gifts from a Spanish company called Pascual, dairy company, and actually 100,000 euro at the time. So he could spend more time with this, and he got a team of professors and inventors at the University of Barcelona, and then he got some money from the government of Catalonia, because they believed in this crazy idea, and they saw that something is going to happen. So he was long before March 2019, when the whole world were revolutionized by all these articles about sudden we realize we have too much plastic. Just to give you some figures. In the United States alone, in 2019, 550 million plastic straws are used per day. Just to give you another figure, that's in UK alone, 8 billion plastic straws. McDonald's, 32% of those. In Australia, 3.6 billion plastic straws yearly. The biggest countries using plastic straws in Europe today is UK, Germany, and France. Plastic bags, 2 million plastic bags are bought every minute around the world. All these things, which takes 550 years to decompose. If you burn them, it's not good for the air. If you put them in the sea, it's terrible for the sea. It's terrible for the life environment below the oceans. So all these things put together, we need to find a stop to this. And of course, where do you start? We started with the plastic straws. 2019, when this happened, we had built our facilities, we had bought our machines, we had made our IPR all over the world. We just said we have to fight single-use plastic. And when this happened, a lot of companies have already started with the paper straws. But the paper straws get soggy after 8 to 10 minutes. You can't suck them. So then some smart people decided to put bioplastic in those paper straws, and they called them paper straws. So they last, when you threw them in the oceans, for 100 years. So all this put together, it's just a big mess. So when people got to know about our product in Europe, we were invited to TV shows, to radio programs. We went to the European Union. We had many discussions with them. We were having speeches like this. We started to travel around to university because it's part of our mission. Our mission is to create an awareness and create a whole scenario about this plastic issue, the single-use plastic. We understand plastic needs to be used in many products around the world, but this daily consumption of throwing away has to get an end. At the same time, of course, we were lucky because big companies like Starbucks, Costa Coffee, Burger King, cruise line ships, big hotel chains, they realized we can't continue like this also. So when they started to look around, they found us. So suddenly, we had more demand than we could produce. So the first year, we exported 150 million of those straws. Last year, we were supposed to export 400 million of those, but because of the situation we all know, we are still in it. But we have the situation today where the demand is 100 times bigger for our product than we can actually cope with at this time. So what we are doing is that we are joining partnership agreements with big multinational companies, the biggest hotel chains around the world, because we tell them, just to give you an example, if I go and meet, for example, the biggest cruise line industry in the world, biggest cruise line there called Carnival Cruise Line, they asked me to come over to the United States. I went over there. And they said, we have 25 cruise ships, and we are in need of 85 million straws. And I looked at them and said, what do you need 85 million straws for? Well, 10 million straws for milkshakes and smoothies, and 10 million straws for the rest of the long drinks. The remaining 65 million straws for all the other beverages. I said to them, I'm going to sell you nothing if you don't stop with the 65 million straws. I walked out of the room. They said, stop, stop, stop. What do you mean? I said, you don't sell a straw on board your ship. You don't use a straw on board your ships unless you definitely need a straw. You can use our straw, pure paper straws, but no plastic on board the ships. They signed that deal, so we made them to understand why we could sell to them, but they could only buy from us based on these situations.
I love it.
You need a question, maybe? I'm sorry.
No. I'm happy. Please.
Okay.
Honestly.
So we have produced the only edible flavored, 100% biodegradable straw in the world. They are all flavored. So what you do is you take the straw. They are 19 centimeter straws. Now they are also have always been paper wrapped. So you put them in a cold drink. They are only meant for cold drinks and ice cold drinks. And they stay rigid for 40 minutes or longer. So we have like agreements with the biggest smoothie operator in the world, Tropical Smoothie, Planet Smoothie. We are launching now with, I cannot name that, the biggest coffee shop chain in the world in the United States. They're going to use them for all the cold frappuccinos.
Does it start with an S?
Does
it start with an S?
Let's say, yeah,
maybe. Okay,
looks like a dollar. Yeah, exactly. Now, when we sell our straws, we go to the buyers and tell them, we will lower the price the longer it gets, not increase the price. So if we have, for example, in retail, we are now entering into all we are entering into 5 markets down here. We signed an agreement with Lulu Group, and they are going to launch our products in retail. Because we started also retail Europe last year, and it's been extremely successful. So today we are in more than 1,200 supermarket stores in Spain, hundreds and hundreds in France, and we are asked to supply to UK and Germany and all the other markets. We decided to go with UK and Germany as well and leave the rest out because we can't cope with more. We are building machines as we speak. So what we basically do, we buy the sell raw material machines like Haribo Candy has. We put our secrets into this machine, and then everything after that is handmade by us and by our own technicians, because many people try to do the copy of these, but they can't, because they don't get to understand the consistency of the straw, the flavor of the straw, and the components of the straw. Now, sugar. We needed to do a product with sugar, because that is 96% of the raw material in this straw. The 4%, that's my secret, our secret. The 96% is pure beet sugar that we buy from France, which is together with United States, the largest beet sugar producer in the world. And we deliver those back to our facility in Barcelona, Spain, in our facility, in our factories, where we produce these straws. In each straw, we have 8 grams of beet sugar, 8 grams of sugar. So all these straws contain sugar, 26 calories. But once again, if you don't want sugar, you don't have to use the straw. But many people use the straw because it's funny, it's something unique, and that's very important to explain. We don't produce straws. We produce a movement, something totally unique, something totally new for the world, something fun, something creative. And people feel very, very confident when they start using this product. So, it is good for the environment. We are in the sustainability thinking today. And we also know we have to do other products. So we have also created other products. We are launching in Spain. We're supposed this year, but we do it next year, with the biggest producer of ice creams, and they have the trademark for Magnums. All the Magnum ice creams will have our stick instead of the paper stick.
Excellent.
It will be our stick. We are launching what we call Sorbo Zero, 0 calories, 0 sugar, vegan product by the end of this year, with the same characteristics like this straw. They will be more expensive, of course, but the vegan trend is there, and we want to sell a product also without sugar, okay? They will also be with all the same characteristics and all the same advantages like this straw has today.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, I don't even need to be here. I'm just loving listening to this. This is fantastic.
I can continue.
I know you can, but I'm going to interact. Otherwise, I won't get paid by Oscar down there. So when you came up with this idea and you started telling the market that we're going to come up with an alternative to having the plastic, did you get resistance from people, or did everybody embrace it as much as clearly everyone in the room?
My part in this, we are 5 owners of this company. 4 Spanish guys, half my age. I'm 63, they are 34, 35, 36. When they had this, a friend of mine called me from China and said, I saw a product because I am investing in only interesting companies or products which gives the next generation a better living. So anything with sustainability or environmental friendly products, that's the name of the game. So as an investor, I then made them to be able to build the facilities, to buy the factory, buy the machines, not to go to the banks, just purely make everything available without having produced one straw. So all my friends told me, you are nuts. I said, I don't care. This is such a funny project. And it's a lifestyle. So up until we started to sell the first straw, people told us we were crazy. It's sugar. It's too expensive. It contains calories. They don't understand it. Okay, but once you try the straw, you understand everything. I'm going to give you each 1 straw each. They are halal certified. They do contain sugar. They are not vegan. But before you go, I have these. You can just bring. You put them in a glass, ice cold drink with ice, and sip it and enjoy it. If you don't want to bite it, because it doesn't give any flavor to the liquid, it does not give any color to the liquid. It only gives you the taste once you bite it. And when you bite it, then you get this feeling. So that's why all these big operators, you know, if there is coffee, they use cinnamon flavor or ginger flavor. When they are like, we also do customized flavor like vanilla flavor, salted caramel flavor. We even have salty straws based on sugar as a raw material that we use.
So, I mean, how many people are into this idea? How many people think it's a great idea? Clearly, everybody apart from the gentleman there who thinks it's rubbish is like that all the way through. He's not very happy. Wow. Options. I mean, the thing I find fascinating about these straws is it's great to not think about the plastic, but there's been a real drive to have biodegradable knives and forks and plates and cups and spoons and stuff. Are you going to be issuing those as well in the future?
I can't say all our secrets at this point of time, but once again, we started to export.
It's not a secret, I just said it.
2.5 years ago, we started to export, and as I said, our main aim here has been to cope with the demand. So what we decided to do is the edible ice cream sticks that is going to be launched with Magnum in Spain, and then we're going to do the 0-0, which is 0 sugar, 0 calories, and a vegan straw. Of course, with our mass, with our IPR, with our combination of raw materials that we use, because everything is natural in our components, We don't even use plastic when we paper wrap them. It's wax, okay? And everything in this straw is based on our little secrets. To give you an idea, we were to set up a facility in the United States last year, by the end of last year, because we don't like to move containers on a weekly basis over the water. It's not good for the environment, but because of COVID-19 it was delayed. And then we were going to ship the 4% in bulk to this facility. And in this facility we would use the American beet sugar, and our technicians would be there to create the straws closer to the market, less environmental pollution, etc., etc. So, of course, with this raw material that we have, we can produce basically anything. It's true.
Well, I mean, that's what I find fascinating, but the guilt that I have every time I go shopping of plastic bags that I try and recycle, eventually it's you just can't do anything with it. And even plastic is a problem that becomes grey mush after you do it. Can you see other applications of your systems to create replacements for bags and stuff like that as well?
Oh yeah, give you two examples. We are talking to WHO, World Health Organizations, because we are looking at making these straws with antibiotic in it for poor countries. It's easier to give the kids those straws. They also get some, how should I say, calories within the straw, and they are then added with antibiotics. We are also working with a Belgian company who buys a lot from us for their floating joggers, and they look for nutrition and protein. So we can add protein into the straws as well without destroying the taste.
Amazing.
So there are hundreds of applications that we are open to, and we always continuing researching in our research and development department.
I love the fact you're almost declaring war on plastic utensils and the way that you're driving people to persuade them to stop using them at the same time. I mean, this is almost like, and I mentioned it earlier with the vegans conversation we had before, can you see a world without plastic being used unless it's going to be used in something essential? Can you see this happening?
No, as I said, we understand plastic needs to be used, but the daily single-use plastic for all this waste, all these billions and billions and billions of tons, I just took out some figure, we are talking about, on a yearly basis, 3.6 billion tons of plastic put in the oceans. When you see the small plastic particles on the beach, that used to be a plastic bag, it's taken 25 to 30 years for that bag to become like this. So what you see there was something thrown in the water 30 years ago. And those small particles takes 500 years before they disappear from our planet. And the funny thing is that I'm a Swede, and the plastic bag was invented by a Swedish chap at my birthday year, 1958. He came up with this brilliant idea that they, instead of carrying paper bags and other things, he introduced the plastic bag in the market, and I think it was Dow Chemicals who bought the patent and then started to go on. So, I mean, in such a short period of time, we talk about 60 years, this is a massive, massive problem that we don't really see, but it's billions and billions and billions of tons floating around in the oceans. As you all know, there is a plastic island. Are you familiar with this?
I don't know where it is.
In the Pacific. The island,
but it's
floating island.
Like a Bermuda Triangle of just plastic.
Yeah. It's bigger than France and Spain together. 1 meter thick, floating plastic.
It's incredible, and I know that I was watching a documentary about some islands where there are only a small population, and what they've been doing is a lot of their products arrives in plastic wrapping, so they burn it, but all the young people have got cancer now because of the smell and the toxic fumes that are going towards them. So this is a huge step in the right direction. Have you encountered resistance, or have you found that most people turn around and say, this is great, let's get there as fast as we can, as you've started to share it with people? Even around here, talking to people, is the direction we love it, or has anybody said no, and if so, why?
This is an expensive product. Basically, when we sell, just to give you an idea, when we sell these straws in packs of 16, I think they're going to cost 14.99 dirham for a pack of 16.
Okay.
Okay.
Pack of 16, 1/6 or 60?
16, 1/6, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 4.99, sorry, 4.99. Anyhow, so 4.99 or 14.99. So what we are talking about here is that it is 8 times out of 10 when we meet buyers together with their sustainability managers, because the sustainability managers today have become much more important within the industry than they used to be. They were there to show we can do something. Today they have influence, okay? But still 8 out of 10 of the people we met 2 years ago said no. Now we're about 6 out of 10. But the funny thing, they always come back after 2 years and say, we were wrong. You were right. We need to do this. So, yes, there is a huge resistance because it's all about money in the bitter end. But as we know, this goes beyond that. In Europe, we are now, by 2021 and 2022, it's going to be laws. The laws states no single-use plastic to be used. UK, the whole area of UK, France, Canada, Spain, Italy, Greece. So they have to find alternatives. I hope there will be many more of these to come into the market, because we cannot give the whole market all the demand that is needed. But anyhow, it is a movement that we are trying to create. And for example, in our retail packs, there is a QR code. And when you press the QR code with your mobile, you choose which of the organization you want to sponsor. Save the Planet, Save the Amazons, etc., etc. And you don't, that's already included in the purchase price when you go and buy it. So part of our thing is to create a movement, an understanding. And we are spending zero cent in marketing. Everything goes straight in social media. And of course, this product is viral. When you go into Instagram and Facebook and whatever, you read so much about our story. A lot of influencers and famous musicians, rock stars, TV.
Like who? Who could you mention that?
Yeah, they do it free of charge because they love what we are doing, because they know that we are genuine. We are in it because we will have a mission, and our mission is to fight single-use plastic. I myself is a father of 4. I have 4 grandchildren, and I'm proud when I look at them in the eyes, because I know what I'm doing is something that's good for them, and it makes me also very warm and happy to see that we can do this.
Fantastic. I love the subject. I told you it's worth waiting for. And I wish you the very best of luck with that. Did you say you wanted to hand out to a couple of people?
I'm going to personally go around, if you would like. They are paper wrapped. I've not touched them.
And you can
just have a straw. I think I have 7 flavors in here. There are lime, strawberry, chocolate, cinnamon, apple, ginger, and neutral.
Wow, fantastic. Who wants a straw just to test it and see if it works? There's nobody saying no so far. If you'd like to distribute it out there, that'd be fantastic.
Just take.
Collect one.
Thank you.
There you go, brilliant. And with that, Ove, it's been fantastic. I'm really fascinated. I love the difference you're making to the world. I love the fact that the cost can be passed on to anybody who feels that they want to make a difference as well. So it's not expensive, because the cost of a coffee is expensive in comparison, but if you know that you're not leaving any plastic or any damage to the world as a result of doing it, it's a fantastic way of doing it. So that's amazing. And thank you. For the first time in the entire 4 days I've been here, we actually have samples that people can enjoy, because everything else doesn't get handed out for the COVID reasons. So as people are doing that, we're all picking one each, which is fantastic. There we go. Everyone's choosing their favorite flavors and seeing which one. Ooh, that's apple. Can I have apple? Can I have strawberry? Has anybody not got one yet?
And don't forget, they are for ice cold drinks or very cold drinks,
Yeah,
not for warm drinks.
Now, you put it in your coffee, it'll be melting all over your fingers, which is not quite the same thing, because you've done such a great job. Ladies and gents, could you put your hands together for our superstar with the great straws, Ove Fondberg. Thank you so much, Ove. And I'm going to borrow one of them, because I think this has got my name all over it. Thank you for coming down and sharing that. Excellent. Brilliant. I wish you the best. I look forward to seeing you in Dubai again with this wonderful product. That's mine. Off. Thank you. We're going to be looking at and chatting about returning to the essentials, respecting nature, where tastes are real and aromas are genuine. We've got our Michelin star from Portugal. Put your hands together for Mr. Rui Silvestre. Thank you, sir. You can take your mask off in here. It's okay. Perfect. You can breathe properly and it all comes in. Now, you're the youngest Portuguese chef ever to get a Michelin star.
Yes.
How old were you when you got it?
28, 29. Yeah.
Now, I keep asking about Michelin stars because I'm fascinated about the whole thing, because it seems to me that when you ask people, nobody can tell me how you get one. It's sort of like, when did you become a Jedi, as a conversation? So what makes you, what happens when you get your Michelin star? Do you go for an exam, or do people come to you and say, we've been watching you, my Padawan, and they suddenly give you this lightsaber and you're able to, well, not the lightsaber, but you're able to become a Michelin star chef?
Okay, the Michelin star.
Oh, we need your microphone?
Sorry.
There you go.
So a Michelin, it's okay, yeah. A Michelin star is not a prize that we can get working one day in the competition. So it's the work along of the year. The Michelin inspectors, they come a few times to the restaurant anonymously. They try, they pay, and then they evaluate. At the end of the year, we can have a Michelin star, we can lose a Michelin star.
Oh, you can lose it as well?
Of course.
Really?
Of course.
Do you know if people, don't say names, but you know if people who've lost their star?
Of course, yes.
What do you have to do? Just suddenly say, oh, I can't be bothered. Burger for everybody. What happens to make somebody lose a star?
No, actually, a Michelin star for a chef is something very emotional. Okay? It's not just about visibility or money or fame, or it's nothing about that. It's just emotional. Because we work very hard. We work around 14, 15, 16 hours a day. With a big team, 20 people in the kitchen, 20 people in the dining room. So we are a big family, and we work very, very hard to keep guests satisfying. When the Michelin star comes, 1 Michelin star, 2 Michelin stars, or even 3 Michelin stars, I never had it, but I imagine that it's great. It's something very emotional. So I imagine if we lose a Michelin star, I never lost a Michelin star, so I can't tell, but I think it's an emotional disaster.
Well, we had a 3-star chef here, Norbert Niederhofler, who was here.
Amazing chef.
Incredible. He was sharing with us how he's just basically reinvented the entire ecosystem in the mountains around him, so nothing gets bought from outside or imported. Everything gets made from almost foraging for food in the forest outside, but it all gets turned into these incredible dishes. He's got all the farmers, 50 farmers, all the way around his restaurant, and his restaurant's on stilts looking out onto the mountains.
Yes.
That whole ecosystem and mindset of creating something really special sounds to me unlike what normal chefs do, which is cooking, serving. It's got to be, you've got to make a step where you say, I want to do things so differently. I'm living and breathing this world of reinvention in the kitchen. How do you get to that level?
Actually, I think in those days, yesterday I was talking, I talked with a friend, with Flávio Monteiro, who took me here, and we was talking about the food scene in Dubai. Okay, and I understood that people in Dubai don't buy local products. I understand that it's a very hard place to grow vegetables and other things, but I think it's the most important thing in a restaurant. Okay, in my restaurant, I work with 98% of products from my region. So
where is that? Where are you based?
In Algarve, in south of Portugal.
Yeah.
So I have all the suppliers, all my partners, they are there. So I'm a very good friend of my vegetable guy, my fisherman. So we know each other, we are a community. It's very important for a restaurant to be successful in the long term, be in a community. We can't work just for tourists and say, okay, we are in a place with a lot of money, we don't care, we can do whatever we want. A good restaurant works with the community. The people that live in Dubai all along of the year, you guys, you have to be able to go to the restaurants and not expend 3 salaries. And the chefs have to understand that.
But they don't understand it's so expensive eating in Dubai in compared to a lot of places.
Yes, yes, because if I grow potatoes,
right.
If you buy my potato, I'm living here with you, I can make a nice price. If you buy potatoes to a guy who is living in France, you have the flights, you have different costs, so we will pay a fortune for the same potato. Probably my potato will be better because I'm growing here the vegetables, so it's fresh as possible. But I really think there's a few countries with a very new gastronomic scene, and that took time. In Portugal, 15 years ago, we were so excited about foie gras and truffles and all that kind of things. And today, we don't use it anymore because we don't need. Because we realize that our food is as good or better comparing with the different places.
Absolutely.
And in Dubai, you have great chefs because you do have great chefs. You have great public, great guests who understand. I was cooking yesterday for 70 people, and people understand what we're doing. Some people, maybe they like, maybe don't. That's fine, but they do understand. And that's huge, because there's a lot of places in Europe and all around of the world where the guests, they don't care about food. They just don't. So you guys, you're very lucky.
We are. I mean, one of the things about Dubai, and it's not just in the food industry, it's almost every industry, you've got some incredible practitioners who are often the best in the world, which is why they come to Dubai, rather bought in because they've been spotted elsewhere and brought into Dubai, or they've grown up through the ranks in Dubai, and you have to be great to stay at that level. I've eaten in Portugal, and Portugal's got a different flavor. From what I experienced, it is much more natural, but then again, the country feels a lot more organic. Anyway, from your experience is this your first time in Dubai? You've been the first time. So how long have you actually been here? Just a couple of days?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had a chance to understand about the range of what's available in Dubai compared to other cities, cosmopolitan cities? Would you say that Dubai is at a higher level, or are you seeing this everywhere?
I think that's the problem. When I travel as a chef,
you see kitchens only.
Look, I don't go to fine dining restaurants. Never. If I'm cooking in New York or in Rome or in Paris or in Tokyo, I always try to taste the local food.
Yep.
I think food is the best way that we have to know a culture. Okay, eating, we can know a culture of a country, of a region, and like in Portugal, you guys, you have a melting pot of cultures, and that's very, very, very good. You are one of the places, and I tell you, I already cook all around of the world, and I think Dubai is one of the most exciting food scenes in the world. It's very cosmopolitan, very beautiful people everywhere. People want to have fun. People want to have good food in a nice company. So I think you guys need to stop to look what's happened in different places, and you have to look inside. That's the most important thing. For me as a chef or for me as a tourist, I don't want to come to Dubai to have the same food that I can have in Tokyo or in Miami. I don't. Because I can go to Miami and have that food. I want to have special food from here. I want to try your own ingredients, your own techniques, to know your own story.
Well, one of the things about Dubai, and this is true anyway, is anybody who comes to Dubai can usually find their own dish, but also with a Dubai spin, a different flavor of doing it a Dubai way. So you've got a number of different things that happen in Dubai. I'm trying to think what the traditional food is. I don't want to say shawarma, but shawarma is a great Dubai dish.
I had it yesterday.
And?
and it was great. It was great, but you know the food culture in 15 years will be different. And that's a phrase that I like, is today's avant-garde is tomorrow's traditional.
True.
Because we are, the evolution is like that. In Portugal, we have some traditional dishes that we lose a lot of spices. For example, we don't have spices in Portugal. But with the discoveries and in India, in Africa, we brought a lot of things. So I think it's the evolution, and that's very positive. But to have an evolution, the local people and the tourists have to consume that food. So if you come to Dubai to have foie gras and caviar, why are you coming? To have sun, you can have sun whatever you want.
Well, because we have about 200 different nationalities here, everyone comes out here, and when they first arrive, they're interested in what's available locally, but they want to have that feeling of home still being here. So a lot of people do enjoy that. I mean, what I was going to ask you about is when you were growing up as a chef, not growing up as a chef, but when did you first get interested in providing food for people? Was it from a very early age, or was it a choice you made, say, in your teens? When did you decide?
So my family story is great because my grandmother she's from India, okay, from Goa. My mother, she's from Mozambique. My father is Portuguese. So it was a melting pot of cultures. So I grew up with curries, with a lot of spices, the cumin, the gingers, that kind of things. And the dinner time and the lunch time, it was very, very important at home. Because I was at the school, my parents were working, and it was the time that we all sat together and on the table to talk about the things. And when I became a teenager, I had one experience in a restaurant, a summer job, and I understood that working in the kitchen is the best job in the world. Because we work with great products, we can create something very personal, and you can see the reaction of your guests instantly. So you don't need to wait 8 months to know if people like or not what you're doing. And I see happy people every single day. My wife, she's a doctor, she's a surgeon. She works with sick people. She sees death, unhappiness. I see happy people every single day. I have the best job in the world, really. I can travel, I can eat in the best restaurants, I know a lot of cultures, and that's priceless.
Well, with that, and I love it, I love the way you put that analogy together. At some point, when you were studying, obviously you got a family with different tastes and different flavors and the spice and so on, but you went to chef school to learn. There must have been a point where the way you grew, the direction you took you differently from all the rest of the guys who are students with you. If you're the first person, the youngest person to get this Michelin star, you must have made some decisions or taken some risks that other people wouldn't do. What are those risks? When did you realize that you were destined to go in a certain direction, and that was the one that you got rewarded with a star?
Okay, when I was a teenager, I was supposed to be a lawyer.
Right.
Okay, But as I said, in the summer job, I really fall in love. And I do love food and...
You fell in love with your wife or with food?
Sorry?
You said you fell in love.
Yeah, I fell in love with food.
Oh, okay. I thought you said with your wife. I thought it was okay. Carry
No,
on.
she loves as well.
Okay.
And when I decided to become a chef, go to culinary school, my family wasn't very happy, and I made a promise.
Why?
Because
you're going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, because you have high expectations for your kids. And 15 years ago, being a chef, it wasn't great. Maybe in France, yes, but not in Portugal. And I made a promise. I said, I'm going to be a chef, and I'm going to be a great one. So I studied 3 years in Portugal. Then I moved to France. So I spent 7 years between France, Switzerland, and Hungary, Budapest, because there was a few chefs that I said I want to work with them. Sometimes I work for free, just knocking on the door. Yeah, you need somebody? No, we're full. We have all the team. Yeah, but please let me work for free. Then if you like, make me a contract. And I get a very good experience like that. So I spent 7 years working, and then I came back to Portugal.
Before you move on from that, so you made a conscious attempt to get in to see a chef, to work with them for free, just so you could observe the way that they're doing stuff. So does that mean you've got to...
Sorry, to observe the philosophy. That's the most important thing. Learn a cooking technique or a recipe is not important. It's important if you are a beginner, if you want to learn how to cook. Yeah, that's important. When you're already a cook, you don't need to know that, because you want to cook your own food. To cook your own food, you need to have your own philosophy. Okay? So I think it's very important to learn the philosophies of all the chefs that we work in our lives, and then create our own philosophy.
So you were going in to watch the chefs, not the dishes.
Yeah.
To see how they create stuff from the menu, they bring out new stuff, and how it comes from their heart and their taste, and rather than the actual craft of running a kitchen, you want to see. So when you're doing that, how easy is it to get to know which chefs that you wanted to emulate and learn from? I mean, I don't know, is that stuff that you're looking in a magazine, you see a famous chef, you read about them and say, that's the guy I want to get near?
We are a community of chefs, so we know what chefs are doing in different countries. If you ask to a kid, you want to be a football player, with who you want to play, they will say Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or because they are the best. So I wanted to work with the best ones. That's why I travel, and it was very hard. Because at the time I learned French, how to speak French in France. And I moved alone, without girlfriends, without friends, nothing, all by myself. So it was the best experience of my life, because I get prepared for the future. Okay? So that's really important.
But even the practicalities, because I love to know about this origin, it's like a superhero origin story that you're sharing with me. When you go and you work under a chef for free, how do you support yourself financially? Obviously food, you can maybe get access to that.
Sometimes I had situations, my family in Portugal always ask me, are you okay? You need something? And I'm very, very proud. I always say, yeah, don't worry, I'm in a rich country, I have a lot of money, and I was working for free. I had some situations, on the day off, I don't eat. I had always food in the restaurant, in the hotel, like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but in my day offs, sometimes I had no food. But I always said to myself, okay, I'm here, I will continue. I was supposed to expand 2-3 years in France. after we grow in the kitchens, we have different positions, we get paid. So I spent 7 years. And with all the difficulties, I can tell you, it was the best time of my life. Because every single day I was feeling like I'm winning something. I'm growing, I'm learning, and it was the point at that time.
So what are the essentials that you need to have to be a top-level Michelin star chef? What are the skill sets that you've got to look at and grow and gather before you get to that level? Because it must be a journey that's different for everybody, but when you get together with other Michelin star chefs, there's very similar experiences in completely different countries, different foods, and so on. What are the key qualities that you need?
I'm going to tell you, I think to be a great chef, the food is important, of course, but first you need to be a good man, a good woman.
Stop. Before you go there, how many chefs do we have in this room right now? Any chefs? Put your hands up. Any? No. Okay, right. One, you're a chef. Yeah? Okay. Before you move on, you say a good man. Don't want to have a go at chefs, but every chef I see on TV is an angry man.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the same thing. You might say, yeah, but they're really good deep down. Well, they don't look really good deep down. They look like they're shouting at everybody.
Yeah, that's a huge difference between what we are as people and what the other people want to see.
Okay.
Yeah. Angry people sell on TV.
Right.
And then the chefs, they have the choice. I want to do it or I don't want to do it.
Right.
I have propositions to make the kitchen nightmare.
So Gordon Ramsay could be a nice man if you wanted to be.
I said no, because I don't want, it's not the way that I want to be in life. I have 2 daughters. I don't want them to see me on TV screaming, saying bad words, because I don't believe in that. I'm very professional. I'm a straight guy with my team. We need work very hard. We need consistency, but we need to care about people as well. The food is it's a profession. It's a love profession. Okay, you need to be generous. You need to be able to give pleasure to other people. Otherwise, what are you doing? You are not feeding people. You are giving pleasure. People can eat at home. Yeah, you can eat the bread and butter or a nice cheese. But you go to a restaurant to have pleasure and to be with your wife or with your friends, no matter. So I think we need to be very kind with people. Sometimes it's hard to do. Yesterday I was cooking in Dubai, and I had a moment where I was very angry with the guy. But 10 minutes later, I apologized. And I was angry in front of everybody, and I apologized in front of everybody as well. I said, I'm very sorry, I had a bad attitude, it's not personal, and we're fine. The people, I think people, they think it's cool to be angry. Oh, what the fuck are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Why? We are, as I said before, we work with happy people every single day. We work with the best products in the world. We have a pressure. Yeah, but we're talking about food. We're not talking about save the world. As I said, my wife, she's a surgeon.
Yeah.
She can't mess up. If she mess up, somebody will die. We're talking about food. If I fail one dish, yeah, I don't like, because I'm a professional. I will be sad, I will be angry maybe, but nobody will die with that. I apologize to the person, and I cook a new one, and I try my best. But that's it. We don't need to be angry or
I love that. I love that philosophy.
Or sad, because I think somebody who is angry every single day, it's sad people.
But you give great pleasure, but obviously the pressure is there to hit the deadlines, to get the dish completely right. You've got new stuff you're bringing in. You've got sometimes ingredients that are challenging to work with. That stress level has to go somewhere. So do you have to talk to your staff and say, look, I know I might get angry, but don't worry about it. We'll be friends later on. How do you make sure your staff know that you are a nice guy afterwards, or don't you? Because some people I know, and this is not just in kitchens, but management anyway, who like to walk around, be angry, so everyone's scared of them. And I know a lot of chefs do it like that as well.
Because I work with the same people. I work always with the same people.
Okay.
Okay. I don't change chefs. I don't change waiters. I don't change my sommelier. I don't change. I keep always the same people, year after year after year after year. So they know me. I know them. I think it's very important for a chef to be aware of his staff problems. I try to know everything about everybody's life. If they need something, if they need money, if they have a sick mother and they need some days off, I think it's very, very, very important because that guys, they work 16 hours a day to me. And I don't pay extra hours because I can't. So I think I receive and I need to give as well. Is the only way to have a successful relationship. Yeah.
So if you were to turn around to a young person who's maybe in their early teens and they really want to start working in the restaurant business, how would you advise them to fast track their journey to get to a high level? What would you say to them that they should do that maybe you didn't know? Or would you say just go out there and do it? Because to become a Michelin star chef, it's one in, a couple of thousand, a million, I don't know, some mad number. But the journey is different for everyone. What would you say to somebody who wants to start off but wants to get to a really high level?
I think that's a game. Yeah, life, it's a game. And you need to understand the game. If you understand it, you are successful. If you don't, you're not. There's no fast tracks for success. I don't think so. There's different people with different experiences. Some people work very well with fish, and other ones with meat. So I think the most important for a young chef is to learn from his chefs. I know that in Dubai, the cooks are moving a lot. Today they work here in the 3 months in the different restaurants, and that's the worst thing that they can do because it's impossible to know a philosophy of a chef in the 6 months. It's just impossible. You can learn the recipes, but you can't learn the philosophy. And again, that's the most important. So, to a young chef, I would say keep calm and learn as much as you can in the restaurant that you are today. I think is the most important thing.
In this room with Chef Talks, we've had there's about 20, 30 chefs I've been interviewing, predominantly male. Why is it such a male-orientated industry, or is it changing?
I think it's changing, and thanks God it's changing. First, because I think women are much better chefs than us, because the sensibility of a woman is completely different. Okay. On the other hand, it's a very hard job, physically and emotionally. It's very hard, and I think because women they want to be mothers, they want to have families, and it's very hard to have a family when you work 16 hours a day. So you have to you have to make a choice. I want a family, or I want to be a high level chef. I know a lot of female chefs, very successful and great mothers. They don't have Michelin stars, but you don't need a Michelin star to be a great chef. You don't. If somebody said that, it's not true. You can be a great chef without Michelin stars, and it's better to be a great chef without Michelin stars with a nice family situation than have 3 Michelin stars, a very bad family situation, and be a sad person. So
I understand that. That's interesting to say. So what you're saying is that at an early stage, if you're a female chef, you have to make a sacrifice. That's the same in many businesses as well, but maybe not with a duration of 14 to 16 hours in the kitchen, unable to see your family, and that's a difficult choice for many to make. So with that, where do you see the industry going in the future? Because we've gone through, in many ways in Dubai, we're out of a lockdown, but the rest of the world is kind of shuttered in. Do you think that there's a lot of changes that have come from the last 12 months that are going to make a different industry in the future? If so, what are they?
Can you read the introduction again?
Yes,
Please?
the introduction that I had for you is exactly that. Returning to the essentials, respecting nature where tastes are real and aromas are genuine. So what you're
That's
saying
it.
is disappearing from manufactured stuff and going back to natural.
Yeah.
Why would that be a thing?
Because we just have one planet, I think that is very important to take care of it. We learned something with all the pandemic situation, with the lockdown. I learned that a lot of things that I used to think that it was very important in my life, they are not. Today, because I spend a lot of time with my family this year, with my daughters, with my wife, we spend a lot of time together. And I think that we need to how can I say? I think we need to be careful with the people, with the society. It's the most important thing in the restaurant. Again, is the society. So treat well your people, your employees, your guests, your suppliers, your neighbor. That's the most important thing that I learned with the lockdown, and I think that's something that I will keep for the future. I'm sure.
I love it. I mean, I think I've got to say that from the experiences of the many people we've been talking to, that direction that you're talking about, to go back to nature, to go back to biodegradable, to be going back to better for the climate, is something that everyone's universally agreeing in. You know, whether it goes in a vegan direction, so there's less pain caused to animals and all the rest of it, it has been a thing. It's been great having you here. Fascinating
My pleasure.
conversation. Any questions before we finish? There we go. Would you like to go to that microphone over there? Say who you are, and also ask a question to Rui.
Hi, I'm Julia, my English is not perfect. I try to make me understand.
No, I can hear you.
You speak of natural flavors.
Yeah.
Do you apply this in your cuisine? You said also the important is the cultural gastronomy. Do you travel with your gastronomy, Portuguese gastronomy, as Portuguese chef, to other countries, and how do you show your culture with your cuisine?
How does Portugal travel with him when he goes to different places around the world?
Thank you.
I think on those days in Portugal, we have great chefs, and a lot of people all around the world knows the food scene in Portugal, because we try to do that. I came to Dubai, but I bring some products with me, because I think it's very important to pass a little bit of my culture to the guys. If you try a nice product from Portugal, we'll say, oh, we have to go there. So we are... I can't hear you.
I speak for your cuisine, what you made as chef, not for other chefs. You, as chef, what you think is more important, the products you think you are important to go out Portugal and show them what the Portuguese gastronomy is.
Okay, I think there's two things. Depending the dishes that I'm going to cook, sometimes I took ingredients from Portugal, sometimes not, because I think it's very important as well to cook with the ingredients, the local ingredients. So if I cook in Singapore, I will try to use some products from Singapore. The products that I can't find there, I will take with me, always. But even with the products of Singapore, I always try to cook in a Portuguese way, exactly for that, to pass the culture of my country.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. We're running out of time, unfortunately, but I'm sure you're going to be around for lots of people want to grab you and ask you all those wonderful questions.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure
My pleasure.
spending quality time with you. Please, ladies and gents, put your hands together for Ray Silvestre. Thank you so much. Again in the room. That's what my hypnosis shows are like that as well. You're back in the room. There we go. And so with that, we've got our final guest. In fact, it's probably my final guest to talk to for the entire of Gulfood now, because I'm not on tomorrow. Nobody says, just me. All right, very good. But here in Chef Talks, we've got one final guest. I've been looking forward to talk to him since we've been WhatsApping each other for ages and ages. Because the thing is, we're looking at exactly what makes it important in the industry and where the industry is going. There's very few people who know this as well as our next guest here on Chef Talks. Billed as an eccentric cook. I love that title. We're going to find out all about it. The Pangolinian group. Talking about going backwards to go forwards. Please put your hands together for Chef Troy Payne. I almost got the pangolin thing wrong there, but we're in the pangolin. That's where we are. There we are. That's your sanitized microphone and your seat. I'm going to start off by asking you, Troy. First of all, what makes an eccentric cook as opposed to every other cook or chef who seems to have his own single mind or her own single mind in the way they do it?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of titles. I don't get called chef. Chef's banned in the kitchen. So it's about...
so what do they call you then? Just Troy?
Yeah, if they say chef, it has to follow by Troy or T, anything like that. It's Troy, what are you doing? What are we doing? How do we do it? So it's not, there's no, if anyone answers with just chef, then they
get told off?
Yeah, basically.
So is your eccentric because you run it a certain way? Or is it because of the food that you make is very eccentric? What is the most eccentric thing about you that people would recognize? That we can say legally in front of the audience.
No, it's not. I just try and keep things, I try and keep everybody's thought processes open. It's not about, life isn't blinkers. If you go into life with blinkers, it's not going to work. So you've got to be open to ideas, open to different ways of doing things. You've got to be able to teach people in different ways. You've got to be able to communicate differently. And so there's no, I can't stand stereotypes. I can't stand the pigeonholing someone or just because someone's from somewhere or someone does something, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be this or that. And so, I think the eccentric thing came from, just not wanting to be called an executive chef.
There you go.
So when it comes down to it, I mean, most of the time, I had to change it. They asked me to change it from, originally it was just eccentric cook. I call myself a cook, not a chef. So that's up to everyone else to do what they want to do.
I want to dig deeper in that. Where did this come from for you to be so specific about not wanting to be stereotyped and wanting to be your own person? There must be a journey that you went on to get to that. Because normally having a title chef is what most people in this actual event would aspire to be. For you to not want that means that somewhere along the line, I'm saying I'm a therapist by trade anyway. I'm just saying for you to not want that means that you've made decisions along the way to be who you are. Where's that come from?
That's family. Everything comes from my family. It's the passion for food comes from family. The joy of food, the joy of life. My grandma was still 88 and rode a bicycle around the suburbs of where I grew up. And she did it with a crazy hat and some scarves flying off the back of her. She did that to go and get milk. So our whole family, we're a crossbreed of everything, and we have just been brought up to smile at someone and say hello to someone, and or compliment someone or open the door, even if they tell you off opening the door. It's just a case of, it's more fun living outside the box and smiling.
I don't disagree with that. The reason I'm bringing it up, but nobody will know this, but when I was contacting all the chefs, I sent a list of questions that we may be covering. You're the only person that got back to me and said, I am not answering any of them. Ask me something decent.
Yeah, well, you know, when you've been cooking for a while and you get asked to do interviews, whether it's for magazines or for anything like that, I mean, part of the thing with being a cook these days is that you have to stand out. You have to have something different. You have to have an understanding of how systems work or how marketing works, or especially in today's society. And so it's about, those questions are the same questions that you get asked from every magazine, anywhere in the world. What's your favorite food? How do you do this? What's your special dish? Do you have a special dish? Where did it come from?
But that's because people want to know, because the answer is different from every single chef.
But at the same time, but I see it as different. There's cook. There's a room of 12 cooks here. 13 cooks, 14, 15. We're all cooks. I can learn from anyone. If you wake up in the morning and I wake up in the morning and you go and do your day, and if you don't learn something, then it's a bad day. Bad things can happen during the day, but that doesn't make it a bad day.
No, I agree with you.
The idea is that if you should go out and learn something. So this way, I could come around to your house and you could teach me a dish, or you could teach me just the way that you cut a vegetable. That means I've learned something. That's a good day. So there's no specific way of, you know, so when you ask me those questions, I can answer you, what's your favorite dish? I can just flip them on you.
Whatever my wife tells me it's going to be. That's the easiest way to do it. But that's not about me. This is the whole point, because I'm fascinated, but we're going to be talking about food. We're going to be talking about the whole title of what this subject is about. For you to do that and position yourself, it means that all the time you're reinventing. All the time you're thinking, what is me? What do I like? And that must be something that translates into what you actually cook for your customers, your clients, the way that you run your kitchen. It must be a very unique experience for you first, before you pass that on to anybody.
Well, that harks back to something my grandmother and my nanny taught me when I was young. And my dad's always stuck by it and said the same. He said, if you don't enjoy it, stop doing it.
Completely.
So, I mean, I know that I love cooking and love being in a kitchen and the atmosphere and the camaraderie-ship, or not camaraderie-ship, the family.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I look at it as I'm a cook I've got 21 kids.
You've been a busy boy then.
Yeah. But that's, you know, and my job is there to nurture them and to bring them up in a kitchen, in an environment that is fulfilling for them. And so if you know, it's, yeah, man. I've got to learn, they've got to learn. And by doing that together, it makes everything better. And what it does is that if you become stagnant, yeah, so if you become stagnant in what you do, then how is that going to benefit your food in any way?
I love that.
My grandmother cooked Brussels sprouts the same every week.
Right.
Yeah. Every Friday, she'd make Brussels sprouts without fail. But even she hated cooking them. Yeah. Later on, when I was, got older and talk about those kind of things, like, Nan, Brussels sprouts again? She goes, I know, I hate it. She goes, but I'm so used to cooking Brussels sprouts on a Friday that it's just how it is. But, then you've got to break out of those things. If you stay stagnant, you don't learn.
I love it. I love where this is going. But here's a challenge. I just want to know your spin on it. Typically, the direction for any organization seems to be to create a uniform brand. Uniform food, uniform menu, something that can be reproduced, certainly in a hotel. That's working really well. Can we make more of them around the world? And so that goes against kind of a philosophy that you're
Not
using.
really. I argue that point.
I'm not going to argue with me because I expect you to argue at every point. That's the whole thing. So please, explain.
Okay, so McDonald's.
Right.
One of my, I haven't eaten McDonald's in probably 15, 20 years. Right? Everyone eats it. It's monotonous and it's something. It's an incredible chain. It's an incredible business, right? That has the same thing, they do the same thing everywhere, and they can replicate it and do it again and again and again and again. The closest thing to probably that is an ice cream chain, because they make ice cream in one spot and they send it everywhere, and you know that it's going to be the same. People go to that because they know it's going to be the same, right? But that's people with blinkers. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but it's blinkered. It's a blinkered lifestyle. Whereas if you walk down the street and try the takeaway place, or the other place that's doing a hamburger, they might do it different, but you're going to get a better experience of having something different. Even if you don't like it, it's an experience that's better.
Yeah, but people tend to want comfort. It's really hard for people to break out of that. Comfort
and stagnant is different things.
It's a mindset.
Yes, but it's a mindset it's actually two different mindsets. Because being stagnant and only sticking and only going, I'm going to McDonald's, yep, and doing that, that's one mindset. And that's not necessarily being, how do I say? It's not about a standard.
So with the way that you've approached going with your cooking, I think that you have already, we've had so many chefs saying about going back to basics and going back to natural and going back to not having processed but getting access to all the ingredients properly, locally, and creating that. You've been doing this for 20 years, long before everybody else started seeing it as a thing. Why is that?
I'm a city boy that grew up on a farm. My parents separated because my dad wanted to go and live in the country and my mum's a city girl. So we had the benefit of, as a family, we had the benefit of both. My mum and dad get along great, now. But, we even go, mum and dad still now go up and visit my dad in the country. But there it's a different learning curve. When you were 14, I learned to drive. You were handed a .22 rifle and taught properly how to safely go and shoot a rabbit.
I was going to say, he learned to drive with a rifle. You learn to drive very well if somebody's holding a gun to your head, but that's a...
Yeah, my dad used to drop me 10 kilometers away from the property, from the house, and, at the top of a river or the bottom of a river, and I'd have a fishing rod, a backpack, knives, everything that I needed to survive, and I'd walk for 2 days, camp overnight, and come back with what we needed to eat.
Wow.
When you're out there,
we just went shopping. It's much easier.
Yeah, but that's the point of this conversation, is that society's got so lazy. I don't want to pick on everything out there, but I warned everyone before they asked me to talk here. Everything out there they're selling packaged food, everything. Pre-done, do it, put it in this, put it in that, heat it up, get it done on the table as fast as you can. How fast? Make it faster, do it faster, produce it faster, find it faster and put it on the table faster, because we need to have everything fast. No, we don't. How about stop and, what are we all? We're all humans. We all eat. You want to know what you put in your body? Yeah. This is the only time I'll bring up quarantine, and lockdown. The best thing about lockdown was everybody realized they could make bread. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of lockdown bread.
How many people
Anyone
here...
that started a company making bread during lockdown, go for it.
Let's just check in here. How many people here discovered making bread? 1, 2, 3. Look at that. There you go. Brilliant.
Right. So now, from this room, yeah? So then if we get that, imagine now you multiply that by everyone over the world. Imagine, and you did that because you had 5 to 10 minutes to sit there and go, hang on a minute, I've got time. I don't have to go to the shop. I've got flour. Wow, water comes out of the tap. I'll make bread. Yeah. Imagine if we kept doing that and we actually managed to take bread off the shelves of supermarkets. I would love it if a whole supermarket couldn't sell their bread because everybody was making it.
Making it in a healthy way rather than processed flour and all the rest of it.
And chemicals to keep it on the shelf longer and everything. Yeah, utilising flours that are mass processed and not good for us. And so this is one of the things. It's like, why don't we do that with everything that we cook? Now, look, I'll admit, we're all busy. We all have things to do. We all do, sometimes we just go, I'm just hungry. Yeah? But it doesn't mean that you can't just get something from your local, I'm not even going to say it's from your local fruit and veg or your local butcher. You know, they actually exist here. Yeah? We now have butcher shops. We have vegetable shops. You don't have to go to one shop to get everything. So it's about remembering and taking back our lives, taking back livelihoods, instead of just, you know, I mean, even in hospitality and restaurants. I know the name of my fish supplier. His name's Edmund. He's from the fish farm. He's amazing. Yeah. I don't order through a computer. I don't order through a phone. I call him. Yeah. My meat company, the people that I get my meat from, they're sitting in front of me. Yeah.
You've had this conversation before then.
But, you know, it's the same thing. But truffle supplier, right here.
Have you brought your entire family of suppliers in today?
But it's about, you've got to know them directly. Yeah, and see what happens when you build a relationship with suppliers. They're here, front row. Yeah, it's not just a case of, I don't want to speak to 7 people or to go, I don't want my order or anything, if I eat at home, if I eat in the restaurant, if I'm cooking in the restaurant, if I'm cooking at home. I don't want to have to tell someone and then them tell 7 other people before they even know what I want. Yeah. Right now, you know, my flower supplier of natural flowers foraged in the UAE is turning up to my restaurant to drop off natural foraged flowers for the restaurant. Not this, you know, weird stuff that everyone's, you know, a lot of people are into. You've got to understand, so the flowers that are coming, she's growing them, she's picking them, she delivers them. She drops off, you know, every week. This week she's turning up with baby radish shoots that she's tried testing growing at home. The purslane, it grows everywhere in the streets of Dubai. We use it as side fill on our nature strips here. It's edible. But when you get it from the mountains of Fujairah, it tastes incredible. You know? And anything that we should put in our body should taste like something if you're going to utilize something. So it's that connection with what you're doing. Everyone needs to bring that back.
I love it. I think it's fascinating what you're talking about, because the thing is, what you're talking about is not just a food revolution. It's almost like a relationship resolution. Effectively, people to get back to the basics of what every relationship should be, rather than digitizing it. But that's a different direction from what most people are going in. And I know you're going to disagree with me by me saying it.
No.
You've disagreed with everything I've agreed with you on.
No, it's not about disagreeing or agreeing. I mean, we all remember Jamie Oliver. Yeah? Rock star. Great cook, by the way. Yeah? And utilized the power of what he could do very, very well. Yeah? He changed menus in kids' schools to healthy food. Yeah, people can knock it and say, oh, yeah, it's expensive and do this. It's not. He proved it. And so if one person can do that, why can't everyone else try and do that? Then we wouldn't be sitting here, you know, bananas wouldn't be about to go extinct. We wouldn't have cornfields dropping dead all over the world because the whole world wants corn to come from one place. By the way, that corn's no longer even, you know, I mean, I got corn on the menu, but that corn that most of us using, it's literally a genetically modified product that, you know, it's got to be straight, it's got to be this, it's got to be this long. I mean, that happens through the world, but we've got to change that. But it's a case of, you know, I mean, I could come here and go, hi, my name's Troy. Yeah, I think we should all just cook like my grandma used to cook, and I think that we'd all be better for it. No, it doesn't work. You know, it takes sometimes, you know, you've got to stand up and make a scene or make something, scream it out loud. But Jamie Oliver did it, and people listened. So why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? Anyone else do it? All it is a case of going, no, hang on a minute, stop. I want my vegetables to come from that market because I know that the farmer's there. Yeah? 7 years ago when I came to Dubai, The chef I was working with, we need zucchini flowers on the menu. So we were importing, I was part of the thing that happened here when you first come to Dubai. We can get anything. I can fly anything in from anywhere in the world. But, 2 zucchini flowers, 45 dirhams. How am I meant to put that on a menu? I've got to charge you guys 120 to 130 dirhams to make it worthwhile. You're going to look at it and go, oh my God, you walk into the restaurant, sit down, order the zucchini flowers, and you walk out and go, oh dear, I just paid 130 dirhams for 2 zucchini flowers. Yeah. Instead, I went to the farm here, walked into a farm, walked out there, went and said, I just drive around, knock on farm doors and gates, open, hello, what have you got in there? What are you growing? And you go there and you see, and they're growing zucchinis. And there's zucchini flowers all over the ground, everywhere. So, can I have these, please? So, what are you going to do? You can eat them. No one had ever asked them. No one had ever said, look, we can utilize the flowers. And so then I'd turn up every week, go and get a bag of flowers, pay for them, pick up a bag of flowers, go back to the restaurant. I was paying 45 dirhams for 45 flowers. Then I could put it on the menu for a reasonable price so that everybody could eat it. Zucchini flowers aren't a delicacy. They're the beginning of a zucchini, that's it.
So if you were to summarize a word that drives you, it seems to me that it's curiosity. You have a fascination with things, but what would you say it is? What is it that makes you excited about what it is that you do? Because you have a different spin on it from most people who want it to be understood and then reproduced. The minute that you get in that situation where it can be easily reproduced, you kind of don't want it anymore. You want another challenge.
Yeah, it's about being stagnant. It's about not ever wanting to be. I don't want. If you were standing in wet cement, would you stay there and let it dry and sink, or would you? Yeah, man, the old story of my dad used to tell my grandpa. Yeah, the frog in the bucket. Everyone's heard that one. Frog in a bucket of milk. Yeah, can't get out, so it just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. There's 2 frogs in there. One gives up. The other one keeps going, turns the milk into butter, and then jumps out of the bucket. Yeah, I'd prefer to be the frog that jumped out of the bucket. So that's where, throughout all this, it's curiosity. That frog just wanted to know what's on the other side, really. That's how I see it. It wasn't survival. It was, I want to see more.
I agree with you completely. Throughout, I mean, as a speaker, I travel around the world speaking and training people until lockdown. And what I had to do is reinvent myself to be able to create TV shows online to find my audience, because I can't do any other way of reaching an audience. But that's partly reinvention. And that's also because I get very bored of the same that everyone else is doing. As soon as everyone else is doing it, I've got to do it differently. Yeah. And that's the same, I feel a kindred spirit. You'll probably say, no, you don't. But I can see a kindred spirit in the attitude that you've got and the way that you do it. But here's the thing. Will you ever get bored of reinvention?
It's not about reinvention. This is one thing I'd like to say.
I knew you would disagree with me on that.
All right, so, for instance, on the menu, I have pasta on the menu. I have 3 pastas.
Right.
They're probably pastas that no one knows. One pasta is soprasini. Have you ever heard of soprasini?
No, I have now, though.
Yeah, right. There we go. You learned something today. It's a good day.
I'm learning loads.
So, the idea is remembering, right? If you go into a supermarket, see, the supermarket, it's a devil, in disguise. We go into a supermarket, you walk in there, you go, oh my God, I can get spaghetti, I can get linguine, I can get macaroni. Where's the rest of them? Where's the other 73 types of pasta? Where's the pastas that we recently did? Where's the rest? I'll continue. I feel like I jump. Where's the rest of the pastas that existed? Where's the rest of them? The ones that the nonnas made, the ones that the pasta grannies, please jump on, follow them. Learn, discover. This is something, it's a completely different, there's a completely different world out there. So I'm not reinventing, it's a case of me finding things and going, I can do it. We sit there in the restaurant with the team and go, right, how do we do this? What do we do? What's the process that we need to do to get this product? Do I need to go and do I need to go to the hardware store and get thin sticks of wood And what do I need to make to be able to roll this pasta? What do I need to get a frame and put wire between it and completely do that? What do we need to do to create what they created 100 years ago? It's that. So all the pastas in the menu they're handmade. They're done the traditional way. It's not a case of it's not reinvention. You can't reinvent anything unless you understand the original source of what it is. So, in other words, Worcestershire sauce. Okay?
I was just about to mention that before you came out with it.
Worcestershire sauce. We all buy it in a bottle. Does anyone know anything about what's in it? No, not really. It's just this brown sauce that gets put on oysters or puts in this and we marinate things in it. That's it. Yeah. So you've got to go back and you study, you research. We get the guys in the kitchen. This is from kitchen porters. From kitchen porters up, everyone's involved in this. It's a case of, right, I want you to find out. You find out what's in Worcestershire. You find out. Everybody find out. Everybody get their own version of Worcestershire sauce. Then we look back in history. Where does it come from? Which country it comes from? Which generations it come from? How do we do this? Is it a basic fermentation? Is it a complex fermentation? Is it a hot fermentation? What are we going to do? How do we get it? We now have, we make our own Worcestershire sauce in the kitchen now. No more bottles. Bottle gone. Bye. Yeah. But now I know that the 21 staff in the kitchen know exactly what's in Worcestershire sauce and the process and time that it takes to make it. So I'm not reinventing. I'm
taking it to bits.
Yeah, you're pulling it apart, and it's like as a kid. Mum would come in and she'd find me. I'd pull the vacuum cleaner apart. I'd pull the lawnmower apart. I'd have the lawnmower out in the backyard. Dad would go, I got to mow the lawn. I'd go, okay, give me a couple of hours. I'll put it back together.
So it's like reverse engineering then.
Yeah, but
it's not, because
but it is.
But it is.
Yes. So you have to understand basic. So that's where this thing about understanding what you're putting in your body comes from. It's the simplest version of it is, yes, bread, because it's 3 ingredients. It can be 2 ingredients, just flour and water. Most pastas, it's 2 ingredients. So you have to, by understanding that and then knowing the broken down parts of it, you know where to go with it and what you can, then you know the limitations of what you can do with it. Yeah. And when you say earlier about, just going back on one point where you're saying there's that thing about when you go into a restaurant, you want that comfort. Yeah. Well, there's other ways to find comfort. Comfort is like friends. Yeah. You can have one friend that comfort is giving them a hug. You can have another friend that comfort is just sitting there and not saying anything. So comfort is
different to everybody.
Different to everybody. So you come in, I have people come into the restaurant and they sit there and at first they'll look at the menu and go, okay, cool. And we explain it and you break it down for them. And they're like, okay, I'll try this. They have it, and then the next minute they sit there and you see their face and you see the eyes close. Yeah? And you see them think and pause. That's why I cook. Yeah? You cook to see this, and then the next minute you know that they've been transported somewhere. That dish could transport each of you to a different place, but it transports you. Even if it's just minimal, oh my God, my grandma made it. Oh, this tastes like my grandma. Oh my God, this reminds me of this, or this reminds me of that. If it's food is memories. Yeah. Memories, every time you think, for me personally, memories, food, sitting at the table, walking in the back door of my grandma's house and hearing the soup boiling away at the same time she's heating up noodles. She's only making chicken noodle soup, but heating up noodles, and then the sound and the smell as she drops the noodles into the top of the pot. It's a memory. It's a beautiful memory. But so when I make chicken soup, every time I make it, or the teams make it, that's there. So what you need to be able to do is communicate. I think chefs these days, we need to be able to communicate more, not just in talking to someone and telling them about what we do or what our favorite dish is, but about communicating through our food. If you can communicate through food, you look Michelin star chefs all over the world. It's about them not being stagnant, about them not being the same. It's about, it's actually about chefs being, Michelin star chef is about the persistence of their craft. It's about sitting there and going, every day going, okay, I get it, waking up in the morning and they come into work and they go, right, how can I make it better? What am I going to do to it? What can we do as a team? Michelin star chefs aren't one person. Yeah, no one. If I think I can run a restaurant on my own, no way. Yeah, it's about communicating. And so you're going in and you're recreating and you're doing and you're making people and you're communicating that. And so you've got to keep that whole thing going the whole time. So that's comfort, isn't it? In a sense.
I think you're right.
And also too, we all share what we have. Like if your feelings, like if I'm sitting here, if I was miserable, yeah, I'll go, so I don't know why I'm here. You know, I'm just going to sit here and talk to some people. You know, Dave's going to ask me some questions. Yeah, then you're going to be there. Yeah, I mean, you're a public speaker. Yeah, then you're going to be there and go. You're going to try and pep it up, but overall, the mood of the whole thing will be down.
Maybe.
Yeah, but there's a chance. Whereas if you're positive and positive and enlightened, or not enlightened, but enthusiastic about what you're doing, then you're communicating with someone a lot better. And then you're being able to share that with someone. It's like, there's that old film where I forget the film now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But it's that thing, I think it's like it's one of the chocolate ones or something. But it's where she's cooking a dish and a tear drops into the dish. And so that dish makes everybody very emotional and makes them cry. Yeah? And then another time she makes it and she's laughing. And so when they eat the cake that she was making while she's laughing, everybody laughs with joy and they feel joyous. That's the power of what you can do with food and yourself as a person by cooking. If you come into my kitchen, yeah, I run things a little bit different. There's 3 different speakers going. There's 3 different types of music going in the kitchen. I mean, there's space for it, but I cook service with music. You know, you've got to connect with yourself to be able to cook things and share it.
I understand that. Unfortunately, we've run out of time to be able to ask more questions, but it has been a complete experience and pleasure chatting with you. Where can we find you? Where's your restaurant? I want to go.
It's called the Pangolin, not the Pangolini.
No,
it's called the Pangolin Restaurant, and it's in Dubai Sports City, near the Els Club, next door. It's
Pangolin, not Pangolinen.
Yeah.
It's spelled wrong here.
Yeah, take the A-N
It's
off.
spelled wrong here.
Yeah. So, but it's about, look, the whole menu, the whole concept is basically, it's heritage, culture, family, memories. And it's about cooking real. It's about understanding, you know, and helping everyone else understand it as well and appreciate it. I removed 70% of the gas in the kitchen. We cook on wooden coals, and we know our suppliers. And I know where all the food comes from that we cook. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Ladies and gents, please put your hands
Thank
together. Trey Payne, brilliant. Thank you so much. That's it from us here in this room. And we hit it on a high note. Thank you so much for sharing. That's been brilliant. Really good.
That's it from me, Dave Crane here. Just finishing off the conversations and having experienced an incredible day of learning so much about how the food industry has changed and where it's heading in the near future. Let's be honest, did you worry about the last year, wondering whether your food was going to arrive or not? Actually, whether the supply would keep going? Well, that's down to a huge amount of the people that we've been talking to and are responsible for creating Gulfood every single year. This incredible event is the best event of its size in the world, with some of the best practitioners from the hospitality and catering industry, and it's been an honour to spend time chatting with them. Check out the previous days, it's all online, and you'll hear the conversations we've been having about every element, from dark kitchens to making patisseries to also how to look after seafood, and also the new business models that are taking over the digitization of hospitality. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the shows, and I hope you have a wonderful time catching up, making the dishes, and basically seeing if you can do the same kind of thing these guys do for a living. If not, just go online and order it. That's what I do. Here I am at Gulfood. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
The Brand New You program is based on the 10 rules that I've been sharing with the biggest names across the planet. 10 mind programming presuppositions using NLP and hypnosis, life coaching and counseling techniques, all bringing together emotional intelligence and empathy to empower people to believe that they can do what they truly need to do to get themselves to brand new successes. This incredibly interesting and interactive presentation guarantees they start thinking differently from the moment we begin. Firstly, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. Once you can do that, you can do anything. Most people don't know they have all the tools, all the tricks, all the abilities and all the skill sets to be able to move forward. Success changes for everybody, and it's always a work in progress. The 10 rules of success are all presuppositions that, when taken in context, can give you the ability to take any situation, however dire and disappointing, however depressed and challenging it is, and find a simple way of getting your way forward. But it's not just me in front of a giant PowerPoint screen, there's also a ton of fun with interactive videos that they will love. Some of them are really cute. Some put their lives really into perspective.
How do you keep yourself psychologically healthy in space?
It's also interactive with lots of thrills, spills and laughs.
Here you go, guys, please.
Yes. They also get a special gift, something to reprogram and help them on their journey. The Brand New You NLP audio program.
My name is Dave Crane. We've never had a time where so many people feel so lonely, so isolated, so helpless, and so scared. Worried about their jobs, worried about their future, worried about their family, worried about their health. That's why I've created this audio. As a hypnotherapist, I've helped many people to create success in their business life, in their personal life, and in their emotional stability. Imagine being able to talk to the very best of you in the past, the most successful version of you, and getting them to advise you on how you need to move forward. And being able to talk to a future version of you who's already lived through this and had the success that you could have dreamed of, who's telling you what they did next. This audio is designed to give you both of them as your mentors and to help you create a brand new you. Enjoy, and please share with those who you know need it as well. My name is Dave Crane.